A lot of people are talking about this story and they've got the wrong take on it, but fortunately for you, you're here and you'll get the right one. And I think this really summarizes it best.
What a story.
All right, Tom. Well, only on 7 News. It's a bizarre dispute between two women involving an Airbnb property in the district. The owner claims a squatter is refusing to leave and locked her out.
A bizarre dispute among two women. Now, I don't know why this particular newscaster chose to frame it in that way. However, I do have to say that I think that's a good way of starting it off there. It really, really is. Because for those of you who are not aware, not familiar, this is how it started.
All of the responsibilities.
By the way, fair use, ABC 11, ABC 7, fair use.
Are on. All of the responsibilities are on me, and I can't get into my property. There's a leak in the property. The water bill is escalating. I can't get in there to see what's going on.
A D.C. homeowner claiming an Airbnb guest has overstayed their welcome and will not leave. In this story you'll only see on 7 News. We're digging into D.C. law, finding out there's not much that homeowner can do. Our Washington, D.C. reporter Felicia Ashley spoke with the homeowner and tried to speak with the alleged squatter.
The alleged squatter originally got into the home through Airbnb, claiming that her apartment caught fire and it needed time to get repairs. Now that was back in February. Roshane Douglas says she didn't know she was opening her life up to a nightmare when she accepted Shadija Romero's Airbnb reservation almost 10 months ago. That reservation ended March 29th after 32 days, and Romero hasn't paid another dime. But living in the home for over a month apparently lets her claim some form of tenant rights, and she refuses to let Roshane enter the property.
I never gave her any tenancy. I never gave her a lease.
Roshane tried everything, gave her a 30-day notice to vacate, called police, went to court, and even offered Romero $2,500 to sign a paper admitting she's not a tenant and to get out. Romero signed the document, but didn't budge.
Now, I want you all to remember this part here because a lot of you might be saying, well, that's a little confusing. If this woman's not supposed to be there, why are you offering her money to sign a document? But that's really a testament to how corrupt the entire system is there, that there are folks who are having to do that because people up there know the laws and they know how to lie about it. So a lot of folk end up basically paying extortion money to get these squatters to leave their property.
And November the 15th came and she told me, this no longer works for me. Do what you have to do. I'm not leaving. I went to the police with my order and they said there's nothing that they can do, that I need to go to court, which I've done, and I do not have a court date until December the 11th.
Roshane put this sign up on her home so police and neighbors would know Romero was not authorized to be there. A sign Romero covered with a sheet.
I need police assistance.
I was there when police helped Roshane cut it down, while Romero hid inside.
It's shocking to me that you would abuse a system like that.
While all this is going on, Romero's social media shows her living her best life on trips. Cartwheel. And promoting her nonprofit. And Roshane is left paying.
Yeah, on top of everything else here, by the way, this chick is squatting in a house that has no utilities. The electricity and everything got turned off. Meanwhile, she's on social media fronting as if everything's going great. Although it does make you either wonder, when were these pictures taken, videos taken, or how was she paying for it? I have a few suspicions about how she was paying for it. As you can see, though, she's got some little broke dude there in the middle. She got some little broke dude with her. So, I mean, chicks know that if they're scamming money, or fellas are helping them scam. So these dudes have nothing going on for them. Welcome to the millennial generation. You know, I said before that millennials are out here basically cannibalizing each other, and it's a shame. Rug pulls, the stock market, Airbnb scams. They haven't been handed anything. They don't have any resources to get from the previous generation. All the other resources are locked down. And so basically the millennials and Gen Z are out here just scamming each other and trying to get over on each other. And that's basically what's happening now.
Trips and promoting her nonprofit. And Roshane is left paying thousands in attorney fees, the mortgage, and utilities for a home she can't even enter. I tried to get some answers from Romero, who was clearly inside the home, but she never came to the door. When a person walked out to her car, they didn't want to talk to us either. Roshane is waiting now for her court date next week, where she's hoping the judge's decision will allow U.S. Marshals to force her unwanted guest out once and for all. For now, reporting from Northeast D.C., Felicia Ashley, 7 News.
So that was the story. That was the way that it started there, at least. Now, I want to go a little bit further because they do give some more details here. So they basically had a collage of stories here after this took off. So you can get a little more insight into what happened after that.
Accused of taking over an Airbnb in Northeast D.C. The homeowner reached out to 7 on Your Side for help after that woman refused to leave. Our Washington, D.C. reporter Felicia Ashley is now live outside the home. Felicia, you have a lot of updates on this case.
A lot, and it all happened as we were out here working on this story. First, you can see the homeowner was able to board up the home, but the guest was able to get back in. In addition to that, though, I was able to speak with the person the homeowner is accusing of squatting in her home. She stopped us as we were outside doing the story and invited us in.
So the homeowner was able to get in there, but they said the squatter was able to get back in. And the reason that usually happens is because in these places that have these really, really loose laws like that, these folk go and lie to a locksmith and just tell the locksmith, oh, I got locked out of my home. In a lot of cases, these locksmiths know what's going on, but there's not a ton of money in locksmithing. So basically they're so down bad, they basically just go around anywhere. So you have a lot of locksmiths who just go around doing that stuff, knowing what they're doing is on an illegal property. So with this, if you really want to stop this stuff, make it a crime to tell a locksmith make it a felony to tell a locksmith to change the locks and the residence is not yours, and make it a crime for the locksmith to do it. So if you make it a crime for the locksmith to change locks on a home without him verifying that that's the house, if he doesn't do that, you make it a crime for him and you make it a crime for the person that he did it for. You will see this stop tomorrow. That kind of thing right there won't be happening anymore. But please don't be deceived, folks. Locksmithing doesn't pay tons of money. And there's a lot of locksmiths out there, especially in big cities. They'll just go around and just do anything knowing that this person's probably lying. He doesn't do anything to confirm it because he needs them 3 extra pennies. And that's really how pathetic it is for a lot of them.
The police allowed her to hire a locksmith and break in. She gave them no documents. She gave them no court orders. She gave them no lease. She just came and said, I'm locked out. This is taking me somewhere where I'm not trying to be.
Did I call it or did I call it?
The police allowed her to hire a locksmith and break in. She gave them no documents. She gave them no court orders. She gave them no lease. She just came and said, I'm locked out. This is taking me somewhere where I'm not trying to be. I'm trying to stay on the right, but for somebody to just take and do, everybody has a breaking point.
I went back to the property.
I have to say here, I'm very glad that Miss Rochelle feels that way, Miss Douglas feels that way, because men have been talking about this now for literally decades. A lot of these are things put in place because this is specifically to protect females who have made bad decisions. So I'm very glad that now she's got something to lose. It's like, okay, now that your fellow females are preying on you, now all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is pushing too far. Okay, but this happens to men literally every single day. This is what happens to men every day. A man can have a girlfriend and they want him to pay palimony. If you live with a girlfriend long enough, oh, she needs to get some money because you two been dating this long. You've been married. You don't have any children. Well, she hasn't been working for a few years, so she needs to get some money even after you've divorced. So you don't have she doesn't have to perform any domestic duties, any wifely duties for you, but you as the man are required to keep being a protector and provider for a female that you're no longer married to. Women thought that was great all this time. Women cheerleaded. Yeah, that's right. We need to get over and exploit and abuse. Okay, well, this is a monster you all helped to create. Just thought I'd say, by the way, the only way that works for you is if you all stay broken bummy. Now you're in a situation where the economy is so messed up and things are so overpriced. Being broken bummy is basically hell. Okay, well, you lit these fires. It would have been a good idea not to create this abusive environment. Now you've made it. Now they squealing. Okay, it's never a good idea to create discriminatory situations. That's just never a good idea. Thinking you're being slick and getting over. Eventually the chickens come home to roost.
Today, and saw child services show up because Shadija brought her daughter into the home while there was no power or electricity inside. Police also showed up because...
Now, by the way, they'll say it later in another part of the story I got here, but the Shadija, the squatter, said that it was Miss Douglas here who called CPS because the utilities were off. They had the utilities turned off, and she obviously can't pay anything. So the utilities were off, and then she called Child Protective Services. Now, at least that's what the squatter claims. I don't think we ever heard her say that she did that herself, but bottom line is the squatter sitting there in this place with her daughter, done brought her daughter to live in an Airbnb, got her daughter living in an Airbnb. When she's squatting there, CPS shows up, and it's like, oh, damn.
The police allowed her to hire a locksmith and break in. She gave them no documents. She gave them no court orders. She gave them no lease. She just came and said, I'm locked out. This is taking me somewhere where I'm not trying to be. I'm trying to stay on the right. But for somebody to just take and do, everybody has a breaking point.
I went back to the property today and saw child services show up because Shadija brought her daughter into the home while there was no power or electricity inside. Police also showed up because the homeowner's truck went missing after Shadija got back in the house. And when Shadija cracked the door open to get a package, I saw what appears to be a candles and essential oils business inside.
This is unbelievable.
That led to a virtual emergency hearing today. In court, it was revealed that Shadija tried to push Roshane off a ladder, took the utilities out of the homeowner's name and put it in her daughter's name, tampered with cameras, requested that Roshane pay her back for the food lost when the power was turned off. Oh, and she asked the judge if she could question Roshane as a hostile witness.
So basically, you've got women out here expecting other women to take care of them. This is where we're at now. The women are expecting other women to take care of them. She's a single mom. She is bummy as hell. The woman who owns the place is rolling in a very new BMW SUV. So, but folks, yeah, I mean, when I told you the simp economy is running down, there are no longer enough productive simps. The fellas who are willing to create the bastard babies. This isn't the civil rights generation anymore. From Gen X forward, the fellas who make the bastard babies, they get you pregnant and then they cut out. They're gone. There will be no financial support. And you're not going to be able to find another dumbass square to come rushing in and take care of that, especially if you're a disciplinary problem in the most expensive cities in America. And every major city in America now is essentially a replica of the overpriced economic environment of New York and LA. So it's no longer just New York and LA anymore. It's New York, LA, DC, Atlanta, Miami, you name it. Every so-called major city. Every city with 500,000 people or more is now overpriced. So as a single female trying to make it, especially if you're a single mom, forget it. It ain't going to happen. You will just be on a treadmill struggling. So what are they now doing? Now that there are no longer enough men, you can't get the men to take care of you. You can't get the men to supplement you in your foolishness. Well, they've decided, well, screw it. I'll just go target other women. If there are not enough men, screw it. I'll just go target another female. I'll just go get her. If there are other females around me, I'm just going to see if I can scam them. To all the females who thought, oh, well, it'll just be simple. That's the men's problem. Yeah, you men deserve it to get stuck to you. All that closet hostility is like, by the way, and there's plenty of chicks out there now targeting each other. You're not in a relationship with her. She's not your girlfriend, but she's looking to get you.
I was with Roshane as she attended the hearing from her car outside the home.
And the sad part is, I feel sorry for her. I really do. But your problem is, I can't help you. But I do truly feel sorry for her.
Okay, folks, let me tell you something. When you are in a legal situation against somebody, never express sympathy. Never do that. Never, never, ever express any type of sympathy, especially if there's a legal situation. You do not talk about you feel sorry for them or whatever. Do not do that. You are opening yourself up to a judge deciding that maybe everything you said isn't accurate or that they should have leniency. So, folks, if you get yourself in a situation like this, you got to go ruthless. When you sitting outside your house while she's sitting up there, mocking you, that was one thing. Now the reporter gets you in the car. Well, I'm so sorry about that, but I really gave it. Okay, you're putting yourself behind the 8-ball, kid.
And her child and all of this. And I have a big heart, and this is the outcome of me having a big heart. But I really hope somebody can help her, but you can't do it at my expense. I don't have it.
This is the consequences of me having a big heart. Okay, what does that mean? This is the consequences of me having a big heart. What does that mean? Okay, folks. See, females try to maintain that sisterhood. The sisterhood of failure used to be cheap because you pushed the expenses off on the men. Well, now the sisterhood of failure is costing the women. Ladies, now you are having to foot the bill for the sisterhood of failure. You're having to subsidize that. Okay, now it's expensive.
If the judge doesn't give me some release, I'm going to lose my property because I can't pay $4,000 a month and my other bills and my responsibilities like this. And there's no recourse for me.
Oh, man. $4,000 a month. If the judge doesn't rule in her favor, she's going to lose her property. Well, I mean, yeah, that's exactly what the chick you brought in there was thinking. That's exactly what she was thinking. She was thinking, if my life is screwed up and you rolling in a BMW X5 or whichever one it is, it looks like the X5. Well, then, and I'm sitting up here bummy and struggling. Well, damn it, all of us need to suffer. Which, unfortunately, in most female circles today, when they talk about men, they have no problem treating men that way. Ladies, either everybody is going to thrive or everybody's going to suffer. But this idea that, well, we'll punish the men and we'll sit back and take it easy. No, that's running out.
Just moments ago, as we were working on this live shot and this report, Shadija came up to our car and said that we could finally speak to her. This is what she had to say, or part of what she had to say during our 15-minute conversation.
Okay, well, I actually went through the drudgery of listening to the whole thing. Your other YouTubers didn't. I've actually listened to the entire thing itself. Before we go any further here, let me take a moment to introduce you to Miss Shadija Romero. This is Shadija Romero's Instagram page. This is Shadija Romero's website. I did not click the link at the bottom that says accept all cookies because she's scamming folk left and right. And I don't know what's in her cookies, but I don't want her cookies. So yeah, I left her cookies with it. But if you take here on your Instagram page, you all will notice something. On her Instagram page, it says that her business is Afro-Latina owned.
Oh, please.
So you got a mixed chick. Looks like she's repping the Dominican Republic. Maybe came down from New York or whatever. Maybe. Not sure. But the bottom line is, this is how she's moving. This is how she's moving. Now, I'm going to say this real quick. And yes, you know where I'm going with this. Folks, I mean, we have to examine the biracial element. People, that biracial wave was strong for a minute. The civil rights generation, the baby boomers, they put hella, value on whether or not she was biracial. A lot of them, they couldn't actually get a white chick or a non-black female, especially one that looked worth a damn. They usually had to be with somebody's, washed up hog slop. But the biracial wave, that was a thing for up until about the last decade. The biracial thing, that was a wave. That was a move for a little bit. But it's run out, man. Gen X, it ran out with my generation, with Gen X. Millennials are over it. Gen Z is over it. Gen Alpha, that's it. There's nothing novel or exotic about it. They've grown. It used to be in places like Louisiana or California. You had pretty good number of Creole and biracials and stuff. But now, 21st century, you got them everywhere. So that's not novel anymore. You can't walk into a room. You walk into a room now, if there's 10 females, 3 of them going to be biracial. So that little novelty of being exotic and special, the Mariah Carey, Halle Berry wave, that was a big thing back then. It's nothing now. That's it. It's everywhere. So the biracial wave is over. It was strong for a minute. It was strong for about 3 decades. But that's it. That's it. It's played out. It's played out. But you see, there's still some out there looking to see if they can flex it. They didn't get the memo. Hella biracial kids carrying around bastard babies and every damn thing else. They didn't get the memo. We went through all that. We went through the half black, half white, half black, half white Latina, half black Asian. That was the last one, was the Blasian thing. And now the Blasian thing, since Tiger Woods, all that's played out, man. That's it. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's done. So the wave is over. But that's not preventing some of the folks who that's all their chips on being biracial. They're still doing that. And now I got to say the next point here. Every man today has dealt with a biracial chick.
And deal with it, nigga.
It's very few men today who have not dated or married or been with a biracial chick. Very few. The majority now have. It used to be where one fella did it and he was the only one. Today, everybody's done it. Everyone has. So everyone's dealt with a biracial chick. So trying to sell being light-skinned, that doesn't get much value anymore. Thinking you're going to put your chips on selling your calling card on being light-skinned, nah, that's played out. And men, now that everybody's had a biracial chick, the men, they're trading the same stories with each other. Every man has the same story, biracial and bipolar go hand in hand. Shout out Brittany Renner. Biracial and bipolar go hand in hand. No hate to my biracials out there, but y'all know I'm telling the truth. That biracials don't want to date biracials. Like, hey, they crazy. Then they come trotting over here. Biracials don't want to marry other biracials. Like, hey, they nuts. So, yeah. That tends to be an issue. That tends to be an issue. So, mixed females think they got some kind of light skin privilege and that they shouldn't have to work. By the way, this is a picture of Miss Shadija Romero, the squatter, from her website. This is her on the screen there, by the way, which they will show her in the videos here in just a few moments. But yeah, that's her. And so biracial chicks, for a while, let's keep it real. During this baby boomer generation, biracial chicks got preferential treatment. I mean, she could be hella ugly, but if she was biracial, she got graded on a curve. Let's call it what it is now. Let's call it what it is. With that civil rights baby boomer generation, they graded biracial chicks on a curve. That started filtering out heavy with Gen X. That started filtering out heavy. Now the curve is gone. Biracial chicks were worshipped by the civil rights generation. They worshipped them. Gen X, they got graded on a curve. After this, the curve is gone. No more curve. But biracial chicks think they got a light skin privilege and that they shouldn't have to work. They are expecting that Lena Horne, Mariah Carey treatment, and that's it. The wave is over. The wave is over. They think all they should have to do is stay light-skinned and stand still, and they should get top quality food, top quality shelter, and it should just be delivered right at their feet with no effort from them whatsoever. And we all see this. We all know it. We all see it. We all know this. And it's just time to say it out in the open so everybody knows it. That's it. It's just time to say it out in the open so everybody knows it. And that's exactly what it is now. So they're out there and they are trying to keep themselves. They're trying to figure out a way to get back to that privileged position in the 21st century, and it ain't working. It's not working. It's over. It's done. If you're a biracial chick or a light-skinned chick and you think you're going to trade on your skin tone with your bastard kids in tow, all I can say is you're going to have to find a dummy. You're going to have to find a desperate. You're going to have to find a pinch and pimp. But paying top dollar for it, it's like, that's going to be rough. It's not nearly as easy as it used to be. That premium that men used to pay for that, it's not nearly as easy as it used to be. And as she is finding out firsthand, they are leaving you and your kid to sit in the dark in a virtual bando house while on national television, while CPS is coming and saying, by the way, you ain't got no lights on. Now, what I want to do here, I want to go ahead and go over the interview because there's a lot to learn here. There really is a lot to learn about how far women today are going to victimize other women. If there are no men available to victimize, well, now they're just targeting each other. They're just going at each other. So this is Shadija Romero on the screen. By the way, not looking anything like what she used to look like before. She used to look a lot more trim. Now she's got the bipolar glasses. What? If you see a chick with glasses like this, no matter what, they'll be colored purple and blue and all that mess. These are bipolar glass. These are borderline personality schizo glasses, okay? That is not a fashion statement. When you see that, the broad is 5150. No, that's not a stereotype. No, that's not a joke. If they got the septum ring in their Ferdinand the Bull ring in their noses, no, she's nutty. No, she's not just different. Hey, dude, she nutty. You can try to play it like a joke if you want to. It ain't a joke. If she has a septum ring, if she got 3 earring piercings, if she got piercings in her lip, if she's wearing the bipolar glasses, hey, dude, you know what you getting. You like, hey, she don't look as ugly as the Bushikas do. Okay, bro, you can see she's sideways. You can see that. I'm pulling something slick. I think she'll go for it. Okay, you might be able to knock her down, but just understand she's crazy. I ain't that bad. You just hating, nigga. Okay. So, fellas, if you ignore this, you ignore it at your own peril, and you will get everything you deserve. That's all. You're going to get every bit of misery that you deserve. All right. So, folks, this is the extended interview that they did with her. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I've got some select parts to play here. She would like to explain to you all why it is that she's been sitting in that Airbnb all of this time and that this is just a big, huge misunderstanding. Wait till you hear this.
Well, we know why we are here. Tell me how it got to this point.
In February of this year, I moved into the unit initially through an Airbnb. There was a month agreement which I paid for on the Airbnb platform due to a fire, which I then asked the owner if we could extend the time frame in the home. We came to an agreement that I could do that. She sent me monthly invoices, which I paid those monthly invoices in order to stay in the unit. I had a month where I had a financial loss of over like $17,000.
Okay, so she was living somewhere else, which court records show that she had been living there for a year and was being evicted. She's going to say multiple times, no, that's not what happened. But the reporter brought court records showing that the place she was in, I think it's called Ava Noma, she was being evicted there. She had been living, doing the same thing there. She had been staying for months and months, hadn't paid anything. And so they were evicting her, and next thing you know, oh gosh, golly gee, mysterious fire happens. So that the previous place she was, actually the 2 previous places she stayed at, she got evicted from both of those. She got evicted from both of those. She overstayed, just like she's doing here, got evicted, and lo and behold, what do you know? What do you know? She couldn't afford anything. Now she's gotten somewhere else and can't afford it. So, man, for her to be doing that, that tells you a lot. That tells you a lot. So it's not just one time. So they were evicting her, and then next thing you know, she's the place gets set on fire. And it's just her apartment. Her apartment was the only one that caught fire. She claimed it was an electrical fire, but it was just her unit. So, yeah, she was about to they were probably at the end of their eviction proceedings, and that happened. So before anybody knew anything better, she ran and said, oh, let me go ahead and see if I can get me, let me go check into an Airbnb. And that's how she ended up there.
Was that due to work or personal?
It's a personal issue. I helped someone in the past, and it came back to bite me because I am everyone can see. You can search me because I'm not hiding from anyone.
Okay, she doesn't have $17,000 to give anybody. Folks, $17,000. If she had 17 racks, why in the hell is she sitting up here scamming Airbnbs? So that is obviously not the case. That's obviously not the case. The audio might sound a little bit distorted on her end there, because I don't know, they were in there, I guess, doing an impromptu interview, but everything, like I say, it might sound a little airy. But now she's hitting you with the bad news story. She's hitting you with that, and that's what she's telling you, is everything with her is bad luck.
So they were able to find me, and then I was held liable for something I helped someone do. So that put me in a financial strain. But either way, I paid. I still made the payment. I made the payment late because I had the issue. I'm sorry, I'm emotional. I didn't mean to get emotional. I'm trying to speak clearly.
Does anybody believe she's emotional? Does anybody believe that? Okay.
The financial thing was, like I said, almost $17,000. So it sent me into a depression.
She ain't crying, by the way. There's no tears whatsoever. That I'm glad the cameraman knew his assignment. She is not crying. She's not tearful. She's just doing the bipolar. Can I get some sympathy? And hopefully y'all are dumb enough.
The financial thing was, like I said, almost $17,000. So it sent me into a depression where I was considering suicide because it was such a big loss. I was trying to purchase a home. That's why I had so much money.
Yeah, crazy tattoos all over the place. Remember that when men are emotionally unstable, they harm other people. When women are emotionally unstable, they harm themselves. So she's defacing herself, whole 9 yards. She's claiming she's suicidal. Well, yeah, so mental and emotional issues, definitely mental. So yeah, fellas, I've warned you for decades now about you think it's going to be an easy layup with the little throwed off chick. I've warned you forever. Hey, fellas, bypass the little throwed off chick. Stop. These fellas out here are so desperate for just anything that they just start dumpster diving, and then they'll grab the little throwed off chick and figure, well, mentally and emotionally, she's vulnerable. So let me go ahead and do this hit and run. And yeah, fellas, there's a reason you need to avoid that.
That's why I had so much money. But anyway, I paid the rent. I paid it late. That's why I had so much money. Because it was such a big loss. I was trying to purchase a home. That's why I had so much money. But anyway, I paid the rent. I paid it late. In October, there was the same thing. With the invoice being sent, the invoices being sent every month. Prior to me going out of the country, well, actually, I was going to make a payment on the 15th of October.
Oh, prior to her going out of the country. Oh, that's probably the Instagram stuff. So sounds like she came up on a lick somewhere. She went and scammed some money somewhere. If you investigate her, I'm certain you'll find that she scammed some money somewhere, and instead of spending it wisely, she gets together with some dude and they just gonna go blow a bag, and well, I'm living my best life, and spirituality and all this old crazy nonsense. So somewhere along the line, she did something to scam some money. It might have been insurance fraud, something, disability or some mess. And instead of spending the money wisely, she went and blew it and squandered it. But listen to what she tells you she was doing while she was out of the country.
Actually, I was going to make a payment on the 15th of October. On the 15th of October, my daughter's car, her steering wheel locked while she was driving.
Nigga, what?
Yeah, have you all ever seen somebody who had, quote unquote, so much, quote, bad luck happen all at once? Yeah, this always happens to bad luck broads. Fellas, a bad luck broad is not unlucky. When you meet a chick and she's always going from one mess to another, one crisis to another, that's not accidental. Men learn this the hard way, that females are not just unlucky. Robert Greene covered this in the 48 Laws of Power. They're not just unlucky. Her whole life is a mess, and when she relays it to you, it's just bad fate and, oh, the universe doesn't like me. No, it's because probably her and the daughter are the same, and they neglect things. They don't pay for things. If you don't maintain you go buy some old beater car and you don't do any repairs on it, and you just drive it till the engine clunks out. Hell yeah, you're losing alternators, you're losing power steering, and you can't afford to pay for anything. I don't know if this is the daughter that CPS came for, but in any case, yeah, every time she turns around, oh, the place caught fire. I can't pay the rent. I got took for $17,000. I'm outside the country. My daughter's car steering messed up on her. All this happening to the same person? Give me a damn break.
Her steering wheel locked while she was driving, and I had to get to her because she was on the roadway, and the issue I needed to make sure that she was safe and get her heart resolved.
While you're out of the country? How the hell did you do that? All right, never mind.
That took me past the hours of bank hours, so I didn't make my payment on that day because the bank had closed. I had the emergency situation with my daughter. The next day, I went to retrieve the funds for the payment because I was going out of the country and I wanted it, taken care of while I was gone. But it wasn't. The money was lost. I wasn't aware of that while I was gone. I came back and
Nigga, what?
Y'all see that I didn't know my money was gone while I was out. Really?
Because I was going out of the country and because the bank had closed. I had the emergency situation with my daughter. The next day, I went to retrieve the funds for the payment because I was going out of the country and I wanted it, taken care of while I was gone. But it wasn't. The money was lost. I wasn't aware of that while I was gone.
The money was lost. I mean, was the money in the bank? Because she's talking like the money was in the bank. She said she had money in the bank. So she just explained that she had money in the bank. So now she's saying that the money was lost. Lost at the bank? That doesn't sound right. So I got money in the bank, but also let Rollo hold my money. Do you all see that bad luck broads? It just keeps going and going and going. Nothing ever makes sense. When you're talking to a liar and a con artist, nothing ever makes sense. They got a bunch of bad news, a bunch of bad luck. They're doing a bunch of crazy stuff that you've never heard of. And every time you turn around, they have a new excuse. Just nothing ever goes right. And it just keeps going. It's not just one incident. Everybody has just one incident. She has an incident and just goes and goes and goes. There's more and more and more. Just every aspect of her life, there's just something stupid and silly and crazy going on.
I came back, and so the 15th was the day the payment was due. 16th, I went out of the country. When I went out of the country, because I had just had, so the 15th was the day the payment was due. 16th, I went out of the country.
Okay, so did you all get that? The 15th was the day the payment was due, which means that she sat there for 2 weeks. Now, remember, this is a lie she's making up. Presumably here, this is a lie she's making up because she wasn't even supposed to still be there. But even if you believe her version of the story, she's telling you that, 15th of the month, the payment was due on the 15th. Who the hell has anything due on the 15th? Who the hell has that? Who the hell pays something on the 15th? Okay, she knew the payment was due on the 15th and she's going out of the country on the 16th, which means there's no excuse. You knew you had a bill to pay on the 15th. And what she's telling you is, I left the country. So, yeah, there's that. Yeah, folks, it just doesn't make sense. She's explaining it. And why would you ignore that and think that you still got a place to be over here? That doesn't make sense.
When I went out of the country, because I had just had that big financial loss, I turned all of my phones off because I was trying to like decompress.
Yeah, I mean, everybody goes out of the country after they've quote unquote lost $17,000. Everybody does that, didn't you know? You certainly would not stay here and resolve that. Of course, you're going to leave the country, because we all know that people don't leave the country because they're on the run from somebody. They leave the country because they just lost money. That didn't you know that's what you do when you lose money? When you lose that much money, of course you leave. Of course you've gone out of country vacation, of course.
From, what I had been experiencing. And I didn't turn my phones back on until later that Monday. When I came into the property on that Monday, so that's like maybe 6 days after the rent was due, the electricity to the home had been cut off. And at that point, that's when I was made aware that the payment had not been made. I then called.
That's when she had been, quote, made aware, but she just said that the payment was due on the 15th. She left the country on the 16th. She was not surprised about any of this. So she came back to break into the place. She didn't come back because she thought she had the right to be there. She came back to break into the place.
Had been cut off. And at that point, that's when I was made aware that the payment had not been made. I then called Pepco to figure out, at first I thought maybe it was a power outage. So first I called Pepco, found out it wasn't a power outage and that the owners had turned off they had turned off the electricity. So then the electricity was turned on so that we could have power. They turned the power back off because they said I had no right to turn the power on. I went to the courthouse that following day to file an emergency hearing because they had turned the power off, and I didn't want them to be able to turn the power off again.
So for those of you who don't live in places like New York, LA, now DC, and wacky districts like that, these folk, basically the welfare system for them doesn't just stop at the federal level for food stamps or, Section 8 vouchers or SNAP or whatever. It extends to, what are the tenant laws that will allow me to stay even if I haven't paid? Because, of course, the government has allowed there to be such little housing made that what they try to do is burden certain private owners with these things. So you end up with situations like this, where basically this has been turned into a de facto welfare benefit. Chicks who don't have their lives together, these are females, let's call it what it is, females who don't have their lives together. They made a bunch of bastard kids. Their money isn't right. They end up whoring and slutting themselves on Instagram, but they don't actually get their lives together. But somebody somewhere, there's some social worker who will say, hey, girl, you can go down to the courthouse. You can go down to the courthouse. And they have to do proper procedure to evict you. So that's what they end up doing. That's what they end up doing is there's a procedure that'll help bail you out from having to pay your rent. And so that's what ends up happening in these places. They start abusing the court system, and because the court system is backed up, oh good, now we have to wait for a hearing. Well, I don't have to pay any rent until we get to court, and then that'll be 5 or 6 months at the soonest. Now, in her case, unfortunately for her, the docket moved a little bit quicker than she hoped it would, but that's what she did that for. Not because she was in the right, but because, okay, well, let's just go ahead and abuse this. And because there are no penalties for lying, which is why, pay attention in the chat room, this is a female phenomena. If men go into a courtroom or a courthouse and tell blatant lies, if men lie to the police, you get arrested on the spot. You get charged on the spot. You get jailed on the spot, even if they don't have evidence. If you are a female, however, women can sit up there, lie through their teeth. The baby is his. I paid the rent. I'm not lying about my food stamps. I got electricity here. The judge will sit there, hear them say, please remember, Floyd Mayweather Jr. got arrested in court after winning his case because the judge didn't like him joking with his lawyer. You've never seen that with a female. Floyd Mayweather Jr. got arrested, taken into cuffs in court for joking with his lawyer. Female judge, by the way. So once again, no, if you're a man, you can't do this. If you're a man, you can't lie to the utility companies, people. If you're a man, you can't lie to the locksmith. The locksmith would have told the police, something strange, something suspicious going on there. And then the police, all of a sudden, all that there's nothing we can do goes out the window. All of a sudden that there's nothing we can do garbage, that goes right out the window. We can do something about you. If you're a man and you try this, they can damn sure do something about you. You will not get to walk into a courtroom or call a utility company, lie through your teeth about what it is, and then you just sit there and just sit around and the police are showing up and saying, oh, well, no, it doesn't work that way. Try it and see what happens.
No point prior to this did I state anything about like tenant rights. Was I worried about anything about tenant rights? Because
lie. Yes, she did.
Because up until that point, everything was being paid every month, even if it was paid 2 days late. It was paid. After that, we've now progressed to the point where they come to the home almost every other day. I called the police. The police informed them that I was a resident or a tenant here. She said that we didn't have a lease, which we do not have a lease in place, but we did have an agreement for me to stay at the property beyond.
Telltale sign of a liar right there. So she knows she's lying. And to remind you all again, the psychology of people who lie, remember, your ability to survive is dependent upon your ability to recognize reality. If you tell yourself that there's not a snake under your feet when there is one, if you tell yourself there's not a lion behind that corner and there is one, that is a threat to your survival. So the brain enters an immediate conflict when you start lying. Even for people who lie for a living, your brain goes into a conflict. In this case right here, she realizes that the lie she's spinning is going on so long, it's so extensive, she doesn't really think that people are buying this, but she's out of options and she needs you to buy it. And what this expresses on her face right here, this means she's losing track of the lie. She doesn't know where to go because she's spinning this tale on the spot and she doesn't really know how to make it make sense that she turns out in the right. So she is having the predictable physical response of a person. She doesn't know what to say next. She's trying to figure out where this lie is supposed to go. She's trying to figure out where this story is supposed to go. She doesn't really think that you're believing her. So she's trying to figure out, what do I got to say to get you to buy what I'm selling? And that's why she's having this reaction.
After that, we've now progressed to the point where they come to the home almost every other day. I called the police. The police informed them that I was a resident or a tenant here. She said that we didn't have a lease, which we do not have a lease in place, but we did have an agreement for me to stay at the property beyond the initial Airbnb time frame.
Okay, so she can't even tell you what the number of days would be. In DC, you're not required to have a written lease. What? So once again, they've made it real easy to scam folk, but in DC, you don't have to have a written lease. So basically, these are squatter laws there.
So she's been back to the property almost every day. They installed signs. The police told me that I could take down the signs because they were not legal signs issued by the court. They were signs that she had just had made in an attempt to try to harass me more and force me out of the property sooner. I told them that I could not be out of the property within a short period of time because I had just had that financial issue, but that I would go through this process that DC has to assist people who have had financial issue in order to pay the rent. Informed them that I would go through that, and that while they were going through the legal process while they initiated the legal process, because they had never initiated the legal process before to like have me moved from the property, that I would ensure that everything was paid.
So did you hear that? So she's saying that, well, while they're going through the legal process she says, remove me, to evict you. So now she's admitting, well, they filed to evict me, but I wanted to see if I could get the city to give me some money. What this tells me is that she wanted a address. She was sitting there squatting because she was trying to go through every social services loophole and taxpayer fraud that she could find in order to see if she could squeeze out some more money from somewhere, because women can go beg the system for money, men cannot. Women can go beg for money, but men can't. So as it stands, sounds to me like she was just trying to scam to have a legal address so that she could go beg for money for these places, and she was waiting for something to come through, and it didn't really work out that way. So now she's having to just break down and admit that, yeah, they filed to evict me. And while they were filing to evict me, I was trying to see if there was a program with DC or something that would pay the rent for me in the meantime. So folks, imagine that. Well, they filed to evict me, but I want to see if I can pay the rent before. Really? Really? Yeah, that makes plenty of sense. Everybody would do something like that, right? Makes perfect sense when you think about it. Just perfect sense. Well, I want to introduce you to the bad part of it here, because this is where it gets nasty for the females. Ladies, this is where it gets bad for you, because this is the sisterhood of failure, where the women cannibalize each other. This is where we're at now. Now, this is part 2 of their interview. They broke it up into 3 parts, so you're just juicing it. They could have put the whole damn 15 minutes up there, but never mind. Listen to how this part here starts. She's going to describe the landlord's company, which is Miss Douglas that you all saw in the first clip. She's going to describe it, and watch how this goes.
The owner sent me direct links every month after March for payments. So I have been making payments via a PayPal link that they sent. If I can go and grab my phone, I can even show you a receipt that says it's to, I don't want to say the name, but the name of their investment group that I guess oversees the property.
Now, did you just see what she just did with her fingers when she said their investment group? Let me play that again.
PayPal link that they sent. If I can go and grab my phone, I can even show you a receipt that says it's to, I don't want to say the name, but the name of their investment group that I guess to, I don't want to say the name, but the name of their investment group.
Now, this is a heifer here who every time they talk to her, she talks about she's an entrepreneur. She has a business. You bummy backwater wench. And yet, when you're talking about somebody who has a real business, they have real assets, they have real cash flow, they've got real equity. Why, the bipolar, biracial, backwater bummy broad is doing that in quotations. What does that tell you? That's just straight hate. That is hate. These people actually have a real business in the real world that she's scamming off of, and she's trying to denigrate that, which shows you that this is about her hate and contempt for someone else doing just a little bit, just doing a little better than she is. Now, they had said either in this clip or another one that Miss Douglas, it was her and Mr. Douglas. So I don't know if Mr. Douglas is her husband, because nowhere do we see her come to court with a man, the landlord I'm talking about. We don't, I haven't seen any clips of her coming to court with a man, so I don't know if it's a husband or father. I assume it may be a husband, but in any case, what it does mean is she got help. It does mean that she's not dealing with DC by herself. Shadija here is a single mom, bummy as hell, bipolar and stupid, and getting the hard knocks of life by herself. And she's hating on another woman, another black woman. Let me tell you about them biracials. That's when that overseas, especially the overseas ones there, that overseas heritage start sticking out. You ain't supposed to be doing better than me. Well, she lived life smarter than you. And what this shows you is how much women hate other women. She's a single mom who is losing at life, and she's trying to victimize a possibly married woman who got some help and who's actually building something of value with her husband or whoever it is. I'm presuming it's her husband, even though we hadn't seen him. But even if it isn't, she's got help. And with the same last name as her. She has help from somebody with the same last name. Meanwhile, Shadija is getting the ever-living vomit kicked out of her, and ain't none of her kinfolk nor skinfolk coming to help her. And she's seeing how nice life can be if maybe you had kept that dude you got pregnant by, or maybe if you weren't such a crazy psycho with your family. Now she's seeing how much nicer life could have been. And she is furious and angry and hateful and bitter. And so she's decided to target another black female, and okay, you gonna lose. Because I'm a loser. And so she's jealous and upset at somebody who's actually building something. And while she sits in somebody's bando house with no water, no electricity, no hope, CPS saying we got to get the kid out of here while the cameras are rolling. And she would rather see this other woman lose her property. Remember, she ain't been making money on the property now since March. $4,000 a month. So that's $40,000, $50,000 she's lost. But Shadija's like, hey, my life is bummy. I'm basically homeless. And she would rather force another woman to lose what she's got. She would rather make her lose their property so that she feels like, okay, somebody else is down bad like me. Because she's mentally deranged and psycho, and she messed up her life situation, her own situation, and now there's no one who wants to help her. And usually there's a male simp out there somewhere who come throw you a few dollars, for sympathy, when you're out there scamming other people. Now, I want to let this keep playing here because I want you all to see all the ways that she denies things and how badly she messes up here.
That I guess oversees the property. So I have been making payments. The first payment was made directly through Airbnb. After that time frame, we made an agreement that I would stay after, and she sent me direct links through PayPal to make the payments every month.
Okay, now that part is a bit in dispute, but for those of you, I want to stop right here so I can inform you of something. When she paid on Airbnb, she paid with an American Express. So when she started all this almost a year ago, she used an American Express. No word about the usage of that credit card since that. So it would be very interesting if the reporter had been on her square, she would have asked, by the way, do you still have your Amex? is your Amex still valid? Because what I suspect is that she just went up and charged a bunch of stuff on her Amex. She scammed some money from somewhere. She had an American Express card. She got when she got evicted from the other place, she used the Amex card wherever she got this Amex card from, because we don't even know that it was her Amex card, but she used this Amex card most likely to pay for Airbnb and most likely to already buy some out of town trip or whatever. So she put it all on the Amex most likely and just left them hanging with the bill most likely.
1 or 2 months, I didn't make the payment through PayPal. I made it through Apple Pay or through Zelle, but the payment was made. So every month she had to send me an invoice. I didn't have to request the invoice. She just sent the invoice because we were in agreement that I would be staying at the property. So that's untrue. I have not been here for 9-10 months and not been paying. That is inaccurate.
The landlord, of course, totally disputes all of this, folks. So she's saying all this mess, but the Ms. Douglas has said this is all a lie.
Accurate. And
I'll let you get after me, just so we can run through all in case you have to get anything else.
Okay, well, just heads up, spoiler alert, the reporter doesn't actually make her go get the phone. She does get up to go get the phone, but they never do check to confirm if any of this mess about her making payments was true or not. She never actually confirms any of that. So the reporter really fumbled the ball on that one. Really messed up, kid. But yeah, she never actually confirms any of this.
Let's start from the beginning. When you made the Airbnb reservation, because I saw the reservation, you mentioned it was for a fire. Mm-hmm. Around that same time, court records show at your previous apartment, you were also getting evicted for not paying rent. And
so that wasn't for that place. It was for a previous place where something happened during COVID when everyone was not receiving payment. I'm an entrepreneur and I also have a nonprofit. So that's what.
Y'all remember at the beginning, all those struggle, that struggle lotion, those struggle perfume knockoff oils, those struggle oils she had on the table. So she making oils or candles or whatever the hell else she's doing. Y'all remember that? And by the way, just in case anybody thinks I'm just, being too mean with it, here's her website. Orders ship within 7 to 10 business days from the date of purchase. Folks, if she does you like the landlord, so this might be where the scam came from, y'all. This might be where the money came from. Your orders are shipped within 7 to 10 days. Okay. This is the entrepreneur, by the way. Dope in real life. Okay. So most likely she's doing one of those things where you put your order here, but it's actually ordering the shirts from somewhere else. So yeah. About Us with Love Deja is a brand, baby, your brand is on Channel 7, is a brand that encourages you to do everything with love. All products are made in-house by humans. Psycho, Spacey, life with Zaddy didn't work out. The dental plan is very clearly deficient. We believe vibes are transferable. Fellas, if she talk like this, you deserve every bit of misery you gonna get. So we can only create and package up your love with our vibes when our vibes are good. Did you see that? We believe vibes are transferable. So we can only create and package up your love when our vibes are good. Okay, but if you got their money, okay, I got your money, but I can't ship your stuff until my vibes are good. Community is important to us, as such a portion of our proceeds benefit Kaylin's Promise, a nonprofit founded by our owner, without her explaining what this, quote, nonprofit does. So most likely that happened. You can see this stuff here. So it's the usual scammy stuff here. So class act this is. Yeah, when they smile like this, folks, okay, that's a wrap. Fellas, you can see mental and emotional illness. All right. We love black and brown owned businesses. Where's her brown representation? We love black and brown owned businesses. Okay, but she didn't go do this with the brown folk. Where's her brown representation, people? So, yeah, there's that. There's that. These folks will do anything if you let them. They will do anything if you let them. This is how far it'll go.
That was for the fire that I had. I actually had a fire. There's a police report, a fire report for it. The police came out, the fire department came out, determined that it was an electrical issue in the wall that then created.
Was it at the same apartment building?
For
Ava Noma, that apartment, because that says 2023. It was you were there 2023, 2024.
So Ava Noma is where I had the fire. Yes.
Ava Noma is the one showing that you were in the process of being evicted for paying 1 month's rent when you were there for 13.
So no, that would not be accurate.
So the court records are not accurate?
I did not go to court for eviction for Ava Noma. I did have a fire at that unit, yes.
It's not about you going to court. So she called her again. As I said, folks, she's been weaving these lies for so long that she can't keep the chronology straight. She can't keep the timeline straight. And what she was trying to do was salvage her little bull jive ass, quote unquote, business. And she's on Front Street in front of the world. The story went super viral. Everybody and their mama heard about it. So she's trying to convince people that she's not a scammer and everything's fine. And the folk done went to court. They got all your damn paperwork from the previous 2 places you live. They got all of her paperwork. She paid for 1 month, but she was there for 13. So she's gone from one place to another to another. She's basically spent the last 3 years of her life as a squatter. But she's got a website up where she's taking folks' money. I guess that's her black and brown culture, I guess. She's taking folks' money. She's going off on vacations. And meanwhile, she's not paying bills and her daughter doesn't have a stable place to stay. Not with mom, she doesn't. And of course, dad is MIA. So yeah, all her business got put on Front Street. So now she's just lying her ass off. The woman said, "Hey, baby, we've been to court. We got the court documents." So the court documents are lying. I ain't been to court. You certainly have been. Which, by the way, the documents show that too. She had been to court over that. So she's just lying.
Okay. Just so you know, court records do show that they were evicting you. It has documents you also filed in that process. It also shows you trying to apply for EREP to stay there.
And I apply for it now through here, not for Ava Noma, because
Yeah, like I said, she needs to have a physical address to apply for all this welfare she wants to try to get and another program she's trying to get. So everywhere she's going, she's trying to get somebody else to alley-oop her some more money. And so she just keeps applying and applying and applying. And she did it in the place she was in. Then she bummed her way to Airbnb because no landlord will take her now. And so she's trying to do it all over again. Can I stay here long enough for these folk to work my paperwork through the system and maybe they'll go ahead and start spotting me some rent? So yeah, everywhere she goes, that's what she's doing.
payments were made for Ava Noma.
Okay. Just so you know, the court records do show something different. May I hear you on that? You mentioned that you're saying from the start of your Airbnb reservation to now, you've made every single payment.
Correct. And I can show you the receipts for those.
Okay. So you're saying Roshane Douglas, the homeowner, is essentially lying and saying that you have not made those payments?
Correct.
Okay.
She sent me links, direct PayPal links for payment.
Okay.
And there's no way I could pay it without having the PayPal links or having her Zelle information in order to send her those payments.
Okay. In some of the text messages between you and her, you did acknowledge that you hadn't paid.
Which month? Was it a May?
Multiple months, starting around August to now.
No. So it may have been okay, I didn't pay it yet, but it was then paid. But I have a payment for my August. I have receipts for my August payment. July, June, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. I have payments, receipts that show that.
Did you book the Airbnb with the intention of staying?
No. I did not book the Airbnb with the intent of staying.
So why are you still here?
Because after the repairs were done, the place still smelled like fire.
Lie.
And there was water damage. So the water damage was more substantial than the fire damage. And once they started doing the repairs and even completed the repairs, when we went back into the unit, the lease was actually up in April of that year. Once they completed the repairs in about May, everything still smelled like water and fire. And at that point, now the lease was up.
Okay.
Now remember, she was already being evicted. Now she's claiming that, oh, well, while I was out, they let me back in, and that's the reason why. But, oh, it smelled like water and fire, so that's why I stayed here in the Airbnb, because the folks who evicted me from the previous place let me come back to the previous place. And yeah, the folks who evicted me, once they got me out of there, yeah, I came back to the previous place. While I'm not paying here at Airbnb, I went back to the previous place that I also wasn't paying at. And yeah, imagine being a man. Women are already difficult to deal with when they want to argue with you. Imagine being a man. And can you imagine this chick? You got a child with her. You were stupid enough, bummy enough, desperate enough. You were just a down and out idiot enough that you messed around and got a kid with this chick. Could you imagine, even if you didn't have a kid with her, can you imagine dating her? Can you imagine what an argument with her would be like? Can you imagine that? That she's just making up stuff the whole damn time. And even when you show her what she didn't do, she tells you, oh, well, that happened, but then I did something else. So can you imagine that? It would be like talking to the Joker and Harley Quinn rolled into one.
The lease was for an additional 20, I'm not sure, but it was for an extended period. So it was more than a year. Okay. And so the lease was repairs in about May. Everything still smelled like water and fire. And at that point, now the lease was up.
Okay.
The lease was for an additional 20, I'm not sure, but it was for an extended period. So it was more than a year.
Okay.
And
a lease for more than a year? Folks, that don't even make no damn. She was about to try to say 24 months. I'm like, ma'am, you are this is not even just lying anymore. This is science fiction. A 24-month lease in DC. So no, now she's just, at this point right here, yeah, she needs to be taken away to a mental health facility and not released. At this point is what she needs.
so the lease was officially up in April.
The lease was up in April.
And so then I had started a process with LEDC to purchase a home.
To purchase a home, okay. And you're saying you're still here because the home purchase didn't complete, or?
Correct. So I started the home buying process with LEDC. They have a program where I believe it's called HPAP. HPAP will assist you with paying your down payment costs. This year, they switched the program to a lottery program for that assistance. So with the program, they will pay your down payment and your closing costs. Before, the program was just you applied and you got in. This year, it turned to a lottery. That program didn't actually open up until November.
Okay, see, this is what females do. Men ain't gonna sit around for no 2-3 years talking about, oh, well, there's a government program and, oh, there's a lottery and put your number in and sign up. We're not gonna sit around like that. And notice all the details she's going into, people. This is that, social services, state building, welfare office talk, where when a woman can guide you through the bureaucracy, women can guide you through the bureaucracy of the welfare office, the food stamps. I mean, they're like social workers after a little bit. They can tell you, oh, here's a program here, and here's the office you go to, and you need to go to this room down there right there. But remember, in November, they're going to change it up again. I mean, they can walk you through the bureaucracy of the welfare system. Every program out there. Men can't do that. Men, you've never gone anywhere and heard men talk about this kind of stuff right here. You've never seen it. This is strictly a female phenomena. Women talk about this stuff. Men don't. Because we can't. We literally can't do any of this. And you've never heard men doing this. So you want to know what happened? This is what happened.
So the program didn't open up for you to even be considered for the lottery until November.
Where are you in that process? Or let me ask you this. You mentioned you didn't, in the middle of your Airbnb process, you didn't go back to your apartment because it still smelled like smoke.
And water damage. What makes you choose to stay here instead when the homeowner has made it clear she doesn't want you here, doesn't want to be a landlord? There's now no utilities on, there's wood boarded up, there's a sign outside saying she doesn't want you here. What's making you choose to stay?
So no, that didn't start until literally this month.
What didn't start?
The sign on the building or the utility, that wasn't something that happened prior to this point.
Nigga, what?
So, yeah, just in real time, she's claiming that this stuff isn't happening. So, this just happened this month. So no, she is not going to quit. She's just going to keep going, folks. She's going to keep going.
Prior to this month. So if that had happened months ago and that was something that I've been dealing with for months, I would leave. So now, with all of this going on, I am going to leave. The process was never to stay here for forever. The plan was to go back, and then if not, then purchase a home, which is why I started the home buying process. Now that we are going through this here, I am going, even though we're going to still go through the court process, which I filed documents. No one filed documents initially. So if anyone was trying to get me out of the home, they would have filed paperwork to get me out of the home. And any of the months that they said that I did not make payments, that didn't happen. No one filed paperwork. The Douglases didn't file paperwork until I filed paperwork.
They did give you a 30-day notice.
Which for 1 month that they did not receive a payment, and then they received the payment later. So let's say you're in an apartment or your home. Do you rent or do you own?
So, yeah, as you can see, this is what you're dealing with. And it's not just being delusional. It's not just that. She is down and out. She has no money. She has no assets. She has nothing to offer. So the only thing she can offer you now is lying. It is impossible for her to win. The only thing she can do now is attempt to stall for time. That's all she can do now. Just try to stall. This entrepreneur and whatnot, trying to convince you that there's some shred of her life that is still together. Spoiler alert, there is not. There is not. And it doesn't get any better. So that was that part right there. What I do want to do here is I want to go ahead and take you to the end of it. The end of it is this part here, that she was evicted. I do want to play this part. I want to make sure I have the right one. So she got up there and she was talking to him.
And today, 7 News getting results in the case between the D.C. homeowner and the woman who was squatting in her home. Thanks for joining us tonight. You're seeing it right there I'm Scott Thuman.
And I'm Michelle Marsh. Our Washington, D.C. reporter Felicia Ashley has been exclusively reporting on this story for more than a week now. Today, a judge ruling in favor of the homeowner who says an Airbnb guest was trying to take her home.
Our Washington, D.C. reporter Felicia Ashley joining us now from that house where the judge says the squatter cannot stay anymore, has to get out. Felicia?
That's right, and this is actually one of the first times the homeowners have been back to the home in a couple of months. And as you mentioned, the judge ordered that the alleged squatter is not a tenant, therefore she has no tenant rights, and the homeowners were allowed to get her out of the home. And
we're going to come back to this part right here in just a few moments, folks, so hang tight. This is all very important, what you see on your screen. We're going to come back to it in just a few moments.
Evict her immediately, and that is what you are seeing. We have community members that actually came here to support the homeowners and help clear out the home after watching the reports and hearing what the homeowners were dealing with. And even inside the home, you can see some of the area that they have started clearing as well. The homeowner mentioned to me that she has been in shock and everything that was with everything that was inside of this home, as well as some of the damage that she found as well.
Before court, I spoke to D.C. homeowner Rashane Douglas.
What have your dynamics been like with Ms. Romero since the last time we spoke?
We've had no contact directly since that time. Obviously, she had the van towed. She also denied the electrician to get in and came down here and filed a contempt that we didn't comply with the agreement.
I tried to check in with accused squatter Shadija Romero when she showed up to court.
Ms. Romero, would you like to speak with us before the hearing?
I told you that I was going to speak to you, so please leave me alone.
You don't want to say anything before the hearing?
Well, what do you know there? The little potato-built squatter all of a sudden got an attitude. Yeah, she's nothing like what you were hearing over here all of a sudden. Now, is she? Now, folks, if she claims she had all the paperwork together, all you got to do is walk in the courthouse and show it. And all right, that's that. But on her way walking in the courtroom, while her energy and her vibes totally different from what you saw during the interview here. Now, isn't it?
And came down here and filed a contempt that we didn't comply with the agreement.
I tried to check in with accused squatter Shadija Romero when she showed up to court.
Ms. Romero, would you like to speak with us before the hearing?
I told you that I was going to speak to you, so please leave me alone.
You don't want to say anything before the hearing?
Filming is not allowed inside the D.C. courthouse, but I was inside the nearly 2-hour hearing. The judge upheld this agreement that I previously reported on. The homeowners had Romero sign it in October, but she didn't follow through. The homeowners agreed to pay her to leave their property. And in black and white, Romero confirmed she was a short-term Airbnb guest, not a tenant, that there is no lease, no tenancy, and that she has no tenant rights.
The judge said you can evict her.
Okay, that just about summed up everything now, didn't it? Just figured I'd go ahead and let you know that, by the way, that just sums it all up. What was all that stuff she was saying then?
Right now, what are your plans? What are you about to do?
Evict her. She has to go. I need her out of the property so that I can try to regain the property and get back to my life.
And that is what you're seeing happening right now. That is what the homeowners got right to after that order was filed. You can see some of the home, or actually most of the home, is rather...
Okay, well, I would just like to... By the way, what are they doing here? News alert desk, what are you doing? But, yeah, and the real question here is, where are the black men? Where are the black men of the community? Where are the black men in the community? Hang tight. You'll be seeing them here in just a few moments, because this is not just a family affair. This is community business.
Clear now. Now, coming up at 6, I'm going to share more details about what happened in the courtroom also about how this has impacted the homeowners long term. Now, because of the missed payments, their mortgage raised from $4,000 a month to nearly $10,000 a month because of what they endured during this process. And more was revealed about Romero inside the courtroom. For now, reporting live from Northeast DC, Felicia Ashley, 7 News.
All right, Felicia, thank you. And this story has been getting a lot of attention. People are invested in this story. We're seeing.
Okay, so as you all heard there, Miss Douglas says that because of all the missed payments and stuff, that now the mortgage company wants not $4,000 a month, but $10,000. Women hate women. I've said this to you now for 2 decades. There was no red pill when I was explaining the obvious. And so much energy is focused on how do we take advantage of somebody, that you have some female entitlement. And so she went and, well, I'm telling you all what really happened here was she saw a black female who didn't, Ms. Douglas sounds like she has a New York accent. But the bottom line is all that biracial and twirling up your hair like, Sideshow Bob and whatever. Yeah, it didn't do anything for you. It didn't do anything for you. There's no light skin privilege, no zaddy swinging in like Tarzan. None of that's happening. And I submit to you all that she saw another black female whose life wasn't screwed up and she was just eaten alive with anger and jealousy and bitterness that she just simply couldn't stand it anymore. She could not stand the idea that another female life just wasn't in a tailspin. And that just drove her over the edge. And she just decided, damn it, if I'm going to lose, I want somebody else to lose with me. And that's what this was really about. Well, of course, fate had something different in the offing here. And so the news station has 32 minutes of footage of them putting her stuff out. What? They sat there for 32 minutes. The men showed up, the men from the community and women from the community too, by the way. So these are just folk in the neighborhood who said, we saw your story on the news. We saw your story. We will help you get her garbage out your house. So the community showed up and said, yeah, we'll help move this mess. Yeah, you are a little teapot, short and stout. Don't say nothing. Get your ass out. Oh, look, you got to bring the brother is struggling with this bag. That means we got half her damn life up in here. Oh, the brother said, look here, you need some men to come pick this up. Let me help you get this down these damn stairs. So I don't know who this fella here is, but I don't know. Does he work for the television station? Maybe. But yeah. So, yeah, the neighborhood is coming in there to help get Shadija's mess. Yes, 32 minutes of footage. Like I say, if you haven't been following this, because I've been following it. If you haven't been following it, yeah, this is what was going on. Oh, yeah, one more thing. While I'm doing this here, one more thing. The lighting in here, folks, the lighting, the electricity is off. What? The electricity is off right now in the house. So Ms. Douglas never turned the electricity back on. So they're doing the interview and the cameraman, the camera, they call them videographers. He brought the camera and the lights. So she doesn't actually have any lights in this place while they were interviewing her. During this whole interview, she didn't have any lights of her own. These are the lights that the cameraman brought with him. So that's the only reason you can see her. So when you have this right here, this is what the place really looks like. And even still, the lighting is from the cameraman. That's why I just saw his lights. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Let me explain to you all. Those are his lights that are lighting up the house right now. That you can see the lights back here are not on. There's no electricity, which also means no heat, which probably explains why things be on fire. Because we all know in places like DC and Philadelphia and Chicago, folks squatting in your house will be setting stuff on fire because it gets hella cold. So Miss Douglas is damn lucky to get her out of here while she still can, because she would have set the place on fire, talking about, well, I need to get heat, and it's your fault because you turned the electricity off. So, yeah, that happened. But yeah, you like to see the community come together and make some things happen. You like to see the community do that. Baby, I don't know if you built for working out like this, but thank you for showing up. We appreciate it. Oh, she got 2 cell phones? It's like, okay. You know, if you had 2 dumbbells, it's, never mind, let me quit. Thank you for showing up. We do appreciate that. Baby, grab something. Be useful. You sitting up here looking around all crazy. Be useful. The men is grabbing stuff. The men showed up to grab something. The females standing around looking cute. Hey, there's a television. There's a table. Come on now. This is what happens when men show up. When the men show up, any manual labor, we doing work. And other than Miss Douglas, the other females just standing around trying to look cute. Baby, we don't need you flopping that weave. She got one little pot in her hands. So this is what we end up with. We end up with this. So no matter what happens, it's going to be men doing it. It's going to be men. Where are the men at cleaning up the women's messes? Now, let me explain something else to you here. This right here tells you a lot. This tells you a lot about Shadidra Romero's life. That she went to court all this time. She did all this mess all this time. She knew she had a court date. She knew she wasn't going to win. She doesn't have a damn thing but the clothes on her musty, broke, bummy back. She went to that courthouse that day. She went to that courthouse and she ain't got nothing but the clothes on her back. All she has around there is a bunch of stuff. And you know, there's people with mental and emotional issues. They're hoarders. But when you take a look at what they got, it isn't anything. It's not worth anything. Fellas, also another thing, folks, what did I tell y'all? Pets, plants, and pills. I guarantee she's on psychotropic drugs, lithium or something for her bipolarism. And what do you see? Plants. I guarantee there was a pet in there. I thought I heard something. Pets, plants, and pills. So she's getting evicted, and the plants that she claims to care about so much. Think about that for a few moments, folks. If she brought plants with her, is that what an Airbnb person does? I've rented Airbnb. How many of you rented an Airbnb and you brought your plants?
Nigga, what?
I want to know how many of you have rented an Airbnb and you brought your plants. That's not what a person renting a hotel room or Airbnb does. You don't go there and bring your plants with you. So that just tells you that she came in the door like, okay, let me see if I done ran this squatter scam twice. Let me see if I can run it for a third time, and DC let her do it. What it does tell you, though, is that she didn't have a damn thing. Her life has just been a mess. She doesn't have anything of value. And when she got kicked out, all she had was the damn funky clothes on her back. And that was it. The clothes on her back and her desperate hope that she could help another black woman lose. And she's upset tonight because that didn't happen. On top of that, she's really upset because that didn't occur. Oh, look, does that look familiar? Yeah, there you go. Just in case anybody was like, well, Jason, how do you know that's her? Yeah. Does that look familiar? Yeah, we've seen that somewhere before, haven't we? That looks familiar. So, yeah, there's that. Lessons to be learned, man. Lessons to be learned, and some of them will be taking it the hard way. It is rough out there. You thought this was just a New York thing, man. It's not a New York thing. This is an everywhere thing. And by the way, this type of story is very common. This type of story is very common. There are so many women out there who this is what they got to do. This is what they got to do, man. They don't have another option. They have to do this kind of stuff because they don't have another way. They don't have another way. They're looking for somebody to step in and save them. They're looking for something to happen. They screwed up and messed up every option that they would have had. And that's it. They're out of options. There's men in this chat room here. There's women in here. You all know folk like her. You know women like her. You see women like her all the time. This is not uncommon. This is not uncommon. This is not uncommon. So, yeah, they're out here. They're making a fool of themselves. They're making a mess of themselves. But I wish I could tell you that they were the only ones. I could take a bunch of time on that one, but I got to run through these others a little bit quicker because I meant when I said their black women have run out of men to scam. Now they're just grabbing other women. Here's the case of Janae White. Janae White. Here's another one, just like that other one.
An I-team investigation. A Jacksonville businesswoman now in hot water with the courts. She made her name mentoring others through credit repair services and Airbnb investments. A judge in a civil fraud case found Janae White misled clients and then ruled that she failed to follow court orders in the case. Today, she was back in court and given one last chance to comply.
News for Jax reporter Tiffany Salome was.
Now, they had already put out an arrest warrant for her because she hadn't responded to the previous hearings about her assets. But of course, as I said, because it's a female, and the female judge issued a warrant. The police said, oh, we can't find her. And so while they playing around and assing around for weeks, she gets a lawyer to file a motion to discharge the warrant, even though she didn't respond to the hearings before. So females have gotten accustomed to a whole lot of privilege that men simply can't get. But yeah, and this is down in Florida, by the way. So Ron DeSantis' Florida lets them do that there too.
There for the hearing where attorneys for White successfully argued that a warrant for her civil arrest be dropped.
This is a case we've been following for the last 2 years. It's a civil case involving just one customer who claims she was defrauded by Janae White. A judge ruled in that customer's favor earlier this year, saying she's owed more than $35,000. Today, White told the judge why she hasn't paid the judgment or produced full financial records.
I feel like I fully complied because I did everything that I could in my power.
Okay, folks, if you got a female coming to you with a voice like Eric Sermon, fellas, just avoid, especially if she's telling you to give her money. People, 21st century, we should be a little bit smarter than this by now, shouldn't we?
Power to get the information.
Back in July, White was held in contempt of court for failing to provide sufficient proof that she couldn't pay the $35,000 judgment. That's when a civil arrest warrant was issued. But according to police, they never arrested her because they couldn't find her. The plaintiff's attorney wants to know, where did the money go? In court, he played this video White posted on social media addressing her clients.
Ain't nobody getting no refund. If you feel like I owe you a refund, take me to court. And we let a judge decide that.
Janae White was famous for doing a video where she told the folks she had defrauded, and ain't none of your asses getting a refund either. You want a refund, you can just take me to court. By the way, there's another video of her after that after they did take her to court, she was apologizing. I'm so sorry if I talked to anybody in a way that made you feel disrespected. I'm very sorry. So her tune changed as soon as she got a summons and as soon as she found herself in trouble. But by the way, there's the judge. And of course, because she's female, there's a sisterhood out there and they give each other passes. So if you want to know why women get in so much trouble, we have a society that enables it and acknowledges their femaleness and gives them a privilege that they don't give men.
This what y'all fail to realize.
And when your clients paid you, where did you put the money?
Into the bank.
And which bank?
PNC.
And you didn't produce any bank records in connection with the PNC bank account?
No, sir, because when I read the sheet, the way that I comprehended the sheet, it said produce records for the last 12 months for my business. And when I filled out the sheet, it was in June 2025. So that would have made me have to get documents from June 2025 to June 2024. I never did any other accounts or got any statements or anything since 2023. So I don't have it.
White's attorney says her bank statements for the last 12 months and
So she's claiming that she didn't think they were talking about bank statements. She thought they meant business statements, of which, by the way, that doesn't make any sense either. After you find out the details of her finances, that doesn't make any sense either.
Never did any other accounts or got any statements or anything since 2023. So I don't have it.
White's attorney says her bank statements for the last 12 months and her 2020 and 21 tax returns were turned over. But her tax returns were not filed for the past 3 years.
What? Damn! What? You heard that right. Sitting there in front of a judge, hasn't filed taxes in 3 years. They let her walk into the courtroom and let her walk out. Now, Diddy is in federal prison. Damn! Diddy in federal prison. But they let her, she's scamming people. She's held in contempt of court. They just throw that out. But Diddy's in prison. You can't go nowhere. So just keep that in mind. Denied bail, when black men show up, your middle name is denied bail. But by the way, for the females, if you want to know why the females think that they got comrades in the system, well, it's because they do. Now, not anything that would put them over the white women, but by the way, the females think they got allies in the system because this is their experience. Black men never have an experience like this. Black men never have an experience like this. So keep that in mind.
Which is when the plaintiff says this all happened.
I'm going to let her hang herself with it. She did a lot of back and forth and a lot of contradictory statements. And again, we have all the evidence that we need to again.
Court records suggest Janae White profited more than $1.2 million for more than 100 people who paid for investment or credit repair services. Some of those people testified in court today.
How much in total have you paid Miss White?
$2,050.
Man, she was even scamming a white dude, so he showed up there. But yeah, like I say, folks, they are scamming other black women now. And well, Jason, you showed where that was relevant for Shadidja Romero. Okay, you showed that there was a man involved there, but what does that have to do with this Janae White? I'll show you what it has to do. Spencer Cornelia talked about this a few days ago here, but in the case of Janae White, it was this. This was from her statement that her lawyer had produced. It says that the defendant affirms under penalty of perjury. Why does perjury matter? Shadidja showed us that you can go in court and perjure yourself and they're not going to do anything. Shadidja has already shown you that women can walk into court, tell straight out lies, the documents will show otherwise, and the judges will act like that didn't happen. They'll act like that's not a crime. So don't talk to us about perjury at all anymore. If you're not going to actually enforce it, we're done talking about it, and don't talk about it or raise it anymore. The problem is, if you're a black male and you do that, we're gonna deal with you. That'll be their excuse. Any infraction of the law, why, that's their excuse to come down on you like a ton of bricks. In any case, it says defendant affirms on the penalty of perjury that Janae White has no current income except for bills being paid by her newborn child's father, Henry Mann.
Oh, please.
And if this sounds like Brittany Renner, does this sound like a female who got $1 million? Does this sound another one of these female business owners? Does this sound like she's handling business, or does this sound like yet again they're looking for a system or a man to get money from, and if the men don't show up, we'll just scam it off of other women? Janae White did not file 2022, 2023, or 2024 taxes, although it sounds like she didn't do 2021 either. This documentation verifying personal income was submitted in the Radifi bank statements. Janae White does not have a bank account with Chase. Janae White has not written any checks in the past 12 months, and she does maintain a checkbook. Let me go ahead and move up a little bit here. Her LLC has no real property, no vehicles, or tangible assets. The LLC owns no receivables and has no active contracts. The LLC is effectively dormant or dissolved in practice. Bummy as hell. Bummy as hell. But far from the only one, because we've got another one. Here's another one. This one out of Atlanta.
They were sold a dream.
Come to class, don't miss it. Come get this good education.
I invested $65,000.
$90K I invested with her.
But what they say this woman in Atlanta is really selling? A nightmare, tricking other black women into getting business credit cards to fix and flip homes with her.
We've given them everything that we have in our savings.
They say once you get your money, things get funny. One of the homes catching fire, money unaccounted for. What's really going on behind black girls in real estate?
I did not do anything wrong.
I'm Justin Carter. This is TSR Investigates. Now, one person reaching out to us is one thing, but when several women came forward claiming they were duped out of hundreds of thousands of dollars from someone in Atlanta, we started asking questions. What was the promise?
So she would teach you how to get the funding. She had a team that could help us, the contractors, lenders, the credit people.
This is how they say Janine Searcy, CEO of Black Girls in Real Estate, lures people in on social media, private one-on-one coaching courses.
The funding. She had a team that could help us, the contractors, lenders, the credit people.
This is how they say Janine Searcy, CEO of Black Girls in Real Estate, lures people.
Folks, how does something built like a spinning top wear shoes that narrow? I mean, I'm kind of amazed. I'm like, hey, that's
CEO of Black.
I mean, how does something this wide and this round
in real estate
fit into shoes into shoes like stilts that elevated? How is she doing that? I mean, without falling smooth, slap the hell over. How is she not just rolling over like? I mean, I'm seeing it, but I'm like, whoa. How the hell is she staying vertical? Because I'm thinking about a cow wearing heels. I'm like, first you tell yourself a cow could never wear heels. I'm like, I don't know. They might be able to pull it off. They might be able to pull it off. This heifer's built like a blow pop. And yet she's wearing heels like that without falling over. So I'm just like, all righty then.
People in on social media, private one-on.
Then y'all wonder why men in Atlanta are like, yeah, the women in Atlanta are like, we single, where the men at? The men are looking for something that's not built like a sack of flour. So it's just, yeah, that's what's going on there.
One coaching courses to teach black women how to invest in real estate.
Okay, let me explain something to you folks here. I'm not even going to play this whole thing. I think you all get the point here. I'm not going to play this whole damn thing. And yes, she does have a male involved with her. There's a guy who's involved with her. And so they both are kind of running this thing together and they're getting over on these other women. And don't worry, eventually she's going to end up in handcuffs somewhere. We all know that's coming. However, what it does tell you here is, folks, this kind of mess right here. I need y'all not to fall for this. I need you not to fall for this. This triple X size female trying to show cleavage, baby, this is not a good look. Don't let anybody come up to you saying that you should invest with them because you're black or because they want to do something for black people. Do not do that. Crimes of affinity. Bernie Madoff was able to get over on Jewish people because he told them, hey, I'm Jewish. I need you in the 21st century. You cannot be that naive. If somebody is coming to you trying to appeal to racial solidarity as an economic investment, you need to be far less naive. This will get you. Jay Morrison, we can go down the list. Most of these economic crimes are crimes of affinity. So when they start telling you that you should invest with them because they identify with you, they're doing that in order to prevent you from asking obvious due diligence questions. So you're supposed to do due diligence. The due diligence is not figuring out if they're black. The due diligence is going over the paperwork, going over the reputation, making sure this is structured properly. People, let me explain something to you here. If you want to go into real estate, let me make life very, very easy for you. Stop being stupid and silly. Go contact a realtor. Contact somebody who has got a license. There's a reason why people who buy and sell real estate need to have licenses. If you're going to be dealing with it heavy in the field, you don't have to go off and go grab some jackass off of Instagram or some fly-by-nighter off of YouTube. Stop being silly. Go and contact a realtor. It costs you nothing. It will cost you $0. Contact a realtor. Tell them how much cash you have to invest or how much cash you have to spend, and they will advise you on what to do. They do this every day. It's not rocket science. People, just go get a realtor. They'll be happy to talk to you, especially now with the market slowing down. Tell them how much money you got, and then because these women here got $60,000 and $90,000. And they're not talking to an actual licensed realtor who you can check their reputation. You can check with the state and make sure they're in good standing. They don't go get a real estate professional. They go grab some damn back alley street vendor selling watches out of her trench coat and then saying what the hell could possibly go wrong. So people, if you want to quote unquote get into real estate, let me make life real simple for you. It's not a YouTuber. It's not a seminar. Just go get a realtor. You don't know anything. The realtor will game you up. If you're really worried, get a realtor who's been doing it for 20 years. That means they've been through 2008 and everything else. Get a realtor who's been doing it for 2 decades. They will be able to answer literally every single question you got. They will lead you to funding. They can lead you to properties. And they can tell you what you need to do to maximize your gains. It's not rocket science. It really isn't. But so many of you, let's be honest, you look at your credit, which is where the problem really is. Folks, credit isn't up to code. Either their money ain't up to code or their credit ain't up to code. And they're trying to find somebody who can help them get around that, as opposed to doing what's necessary to make sure that when you go into business, you're all right. Then you sit up here and go grab, Khadijah smash and grab. And next thing you know, her and her low-life boyfriend are sitting up here spending your money. And she did the same thing Janae White did. She talking about they ain't going to get their money back, and that's just their problem, this, that, and the other. She has a lawyer. Yes, she has a lawyer, but she doesn't have their money. She has a lawyer, but she found a lawyer, but she can't find their money. So, folks, I'm only going to just tell you this once. Hey, if you want to get into real estate, make sure your credit's together. Make sure you got some money in the bank, at least 1/3 of what you want if you're going to go into commercial real estate or buy properties to invest, and then do it from there. I don't recommend that you try the I'll live there thing if you don't actually live there, because a lot of folks going to end up getting arrested if somebody snitches on you. But in any case, If you want to do it the legit way, that's it. But if stuff ain't together, get it together, because this is what happens when you think you're going to be slick and take a shortcut. And they got another black female, and it was a female who did it to them because her money ain't right. These women sat up here and walked off into this because they saw another black female and figured, don't worry, she's one of us. She's part of the sisterhood. That's the reason that they really did that. She part of the sisterhood. And I'm just letting y'all know, hey, the women out here today, man, it ain't as easy to make a lick off these men anymore. There are not enough males out here willing to trick off for all the females who need it. I mean, case in point. I mean, when you built like the hippo from Disney's Fantasia, and didn't we just cover this just last week? When you built like the hippo from Disney's Fantasia, no, you got to get it how you live. And I'm wondering which, is that the CLS or CLA? That's definitely a C class, it looks like. But if she sits up here and stuff, and it's just like, I mean, the biggest thing in Atlanta comes jumping out the littlest Mercedes. So, folks, come on now. Come on. Come on, people. Ladies, I'm just letting you know the word is out. There are not enough simps to take care of all the bad built females who need a bailout. There are not enough. There's not enough. So now they just like, man, screw it. If I can't find a man to get over on, and let's just say like it is, the old hustle was get pregnant or get married. The men have backed off of getting married, and only the deadbeats will give you a baby. Well, I go get me some welfare. In comes the re-election of Donald Trump. Well, that's over. So yeah, the chicks are out here. That's it, man. They grabbing everything and just saying, well, screw it. I'll just mess over some more females. I will just target and get over on some women. If the men ain't gonna give it up, if the men aren't trying to give it up anymore, then screw it. I'll just go out here and prey on other women. I'll victimize other women. I'll just target them. And this is specifically directly because there are not enough male producers willing to just throw the bag around anymore. It's not like that anymore. Not anymore, it isn't. Hell, there aren't enough pension pimps to go around anymore. So the pickings are slim and the options have run thin. And so now they're going after each other. The women now are targeting each other now. And I'm talking about for big money, folk. I mean, these are chicks out here taking folks' life savings. They're cleaning out other women. They're ruining other women's lives. They're ruining other women's futures. They're taking everything that they got from them. And I want to say one more thing. It's a number of these women who are actually married, who are going off and doing this stuff and throwing all this money away. So fellas, you want to know another reason why they're not able to sell us that marriage thing? Because a bunch of you married dudes are sitting up here letting these women run through your bank account. You're letting these females run through your bank account. And while you're doing that, they're sitting up here grabbing everything that ain't bolted down. So next thing you know, you're sitting up here letting them take your savings, and you want her just out your hair or whatever, and then she's going off getting an Airbnb and letting in the local squatter and stuff. Or they're going off here taking you all's life savings and throwing it with somebody they saw on an Instagram feed. And a lot of you are saying, well, these folks get in trouble and this, that, and the other. Man, they're not doing. Take a look at what they did with Janae. They didn't do anything with her. She's able to just sit there on the stand and lie her ass off, and the judge is just sitting there issuing orders to arrest her and then rescinding them. I'm showing you, these women are not scared. This is female privilege backfiring on you. You thought that was cute. Oh, if a man says something I don't like, I'll call the police and say he's stalking me. I'll call the police and say domestic violence. Okay, now you've made it where the system gives women preferential treatment. Now that the women are cheating each other, you're going into court and they're upholding that preferential treatment. And she's run off with your life savings. She's run off with your financial future. You got to start over from zero. And she's walking into court and then walking out. And you like, hey, when y'all gonna do something? So I'm just letting you know right here now, that one is gonna last for a minute. Oh, but the female privilege one, the simp society, that one is running down. Women getting over on other women, that's going to be around for a minute. You see, there are fewer men stepping in to be protector and provider. That means the women have to start joining together. Okay, but that means you have to trust that female. When you turn the system against men, you didn't have to trust men. You had the law on your side. So you don't have to trust somebody when the law backs you up. What do you do when you trust somebody but the law ain't gonna back you up? You're walking into court, you all can whine all you want to, the judge is not lowering the hammer on her. So she's like, I walked in, I'm gonna walk out. She's gonna go back to Instagram and say, oh well. So folks, I'm letting you know that's the era that we are in. That is the era that we are in. That's what it's going to be. And it's not just for other folks there. I didn't get to cover this a while ago, but by the way, I meant to talk about this, that Stacey Dash and her OnlyFans. What? Damn! So, folks, I talked about this 3 years ago when I talked about Stacey Dash, when I talked about the incident with her ex-husband, boyfriend, whatever, ex-husband. And I told you, man, down there in Florida, where she's at, I'm like, man, fellas, she's for the taking, dude. The money done dried up. That's it. She's for the taking. She's for the taking. That's it. Well, now that she got her OnlyFans popping, I don't think there's anything worth seeing, but I just thought you would know. I just thought I would let you know. The post-wall crash out is complete. The post-wall crash out is complete. People, everybody talks about the revenue that OnlyFans is making. What they don't want to talk about is how many women have signed up for OnlyFans. They don't want to talk about that's as common as grass now. Chicks out here seeing if they can plug into the hoe economy is as common as grass now. And there's a bunch of older females. Just understand something. When you saturate a market, that ruins the market. Only the top 1% of OnlyFans females are making any money. The rest of them are just out here doing it for fun because they're not making no money. So let's stop lying to people. For every female whose OnlyFans pays her 6 or 7 figures, there are literally 1,000 who aren't making milk money. Now, Stacey Dash is cruising towards 60. She's cruising towards 60, and what she's letting you know is no zaddy came for the bailout. She's sitting in a Rolls Royce. I don't even know if the woman has a driver's license. I do know that she's not on OnlyFans because she can be in a Rolls Royce. I don't even know if that Rolls Royce is real. It could be AI. That dashboard here looks hella weird and big, to be totally honest. But you know what? I'll spot her a solid and say, okay, she's sitting in a Rolls Royce. I hope you enjoyed the 10 minutes you were in it because it ain't yours. And this is where we at. This is where we at. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm going to go ahead and say, I know there's no hate here, people. There's no hate. Just because I'm brutally honest doesn't mean that there's hate. It doesn't mean that there's hate just because I'm brutally honest. So don't get mad and in your feels. Folk are talking about Kevin Samuels said winter is coming. I mean, yeah, but the truth is that for a lot of places, winter is already here. You just didn't notice it. I want to introduce you all to a meteorological geologic phenomena, and then we're going to go ahead and pop into the Zoom, and you all can go ahead and weigh in on this. I want you all to understand something. You need to go look up what an ice age is, since we're going to be using that metaphor of winter and Arctic ages. Okay, I want to tell you something. You need to go look up what an ice age is. When you get into the details of what an ice age actually is, what you realize is that an ice age doesn't mean that the whole earth is covered in ice, or that everywhere on earth looks like, wintertime in Amsterdam. That is not what, quote unquote, an ice age means. We've had deserts and droughts and everything else during ice ages. So, contrary to popular belief, the way the world looks right now, yeah, you've had times during, quote, ice ages where this is what it looked like. So what I'm saying is that you talk about winter coming, you can be entering an ice age and not know it. Atlanta entered an ice age and didn't know it because the women had jobs, and what they haven't realized is that the place has just gotten steadily more expensive. They want to live a 1%er life, but the problem is what qualifies as a 1%er has changed over just the last 36 months. What was good enough to be a 1%er in Atlanta 36 months ago is no longer good enough. That doesn't make it anymore. Hell, it doesn't make it to be in the 5% anymore. That's that ice age creeping up on you. And ice age you're waiting for it to be like an eviction notice where you just get a knock on the door and somebody sticks a letter on the door and a notice on the door to let you know this is where it is. That's not the way that happens, people. Just like global warming, the temperature slowly rises. Some of you will be able to stand the heat more than others. Some of you will succumb to the heat sooner than others. All of you are in a drought. Some of you will succumb sooner than others. Others of you will still be standing and be like, well, I don't feel anything, or at least, yeah, it's gotten a little warmer, but it's not unbearable. And that's what it looks like. It looks like that. It looks like that. Everybody's got their eyes on LA. You took your eyes off of San Diego. You took your eyes off of San Bernardino. The places that folk thought were the hood. And now here comes your notice. Oh, it's not the hood anymore. It's overpriced with just a few low rental places hanging on. Sacramento, Stockton, you're on your way. The so-called rural areas in California, the places in between the major cities. Folks, do yourselves a favor. Get on Zillow and go take a look at some of the prices in desert cities in Palm Springs in California. That's the damn desert. And go take a look at some of the prices just for desert land. No utilities, no water. And go take a look at the price per acre. Laredo, Texas, they want $1 million an acre if you want to buy land in Laredo, Texas. What? Not Austin, not Dallas, not Plano, not Houston, not San Antonio. Laredo, Texas. Don't believe me? You all can go look it up for yourselves. They want $1 million an acre in Laredo, Texas. So these places that you thought before, oh, it'd be rural. Okay. And here's the other thing. Going rural doesn't help you because you see the money is where the cities are. So if you want, quote unquote, the best paying jobs, you have to be in the city. Working remote Folks thought that was going to last forever. I told you that it wouldn't. Oh, well, that isn't lasting. That's all going away. So if you want to make money, you have to be where the cities are. But the cities are overpriced. Well, you want to be rural. Okay, that just makes the house might be cheaper, but your life won't be. And nobody told them this. So the room's temperature has been slowly dropping. And year after year, they're waiting for the temperature to warm back up again. And no, it's just slowly decreasing until you end up here. You end up here. And that's the real reason that you have cases. That's the real reason you have cases like the bad built buckhead here, because folks, they've never had this before. I'm just letting you know. They've never had this before. They've never had this before. So that's going to be a thing there. They're willing to go to jail for the rest of their lives. In the chat room, Choice One needs to give me a call up on Zoom. We'll give you 2 minutes to call us up on Zoom here, Choice One. So glad you decided to weigh in on that. So Choice One can give us a call up here on Zoom. So glad you volunteered. So let's get Choice One up here. He's got 2 minutes to be on Zoom for us. Folks, these people today, these young folk, they're scamming and willing to take jail chances. You know why? Because the goal used to be $1 million. Man, they're out here taking penitentiary chances just to see what it's like to live like a thousandaire. They just want to be a thousandaire. They've given up on being a millionaire. They're just scamming and willing to go to jail just to see what it's like to be a thousandaire for a little while. Just for a little while. They want to know what it's like to be in a brand new car, even if it's the entry-level Mercedes, just once. Okay, let me have that for a year, and then you can send me to jail. Then you can mark me for the rest of my life with a felony. Then you can blacklist my name. Let me go ahead and do that, and then you can write me off. Not for millions. Folk, for thousands. If I can get a few 100,000 and see what that feels like, okay, now you can zero me out. This is where we are today. They're not even doing it to get wealthy. They're just doing it to see what's it like to be upper middle class for a little while before you send me to jail, before you send me to prison. And that's literally what they're doing. Let me scam this and take it. I know they're going to come arrest me. I ain't never had nothing. Let me just smash and grab this, and just so I can see what it's like. Let me just do it so I can see what it's like. Then you can put me away for the rest of my days. Let me go ahead and jump over here on Zoom right quick. We got somebody here on Zoom. Okay. I forget your name. It's been a minute since you called in. Speaking of bipolar, what's your name again, ma'am?
Vane.
Hello, Vane. What's on your mind?
Oh my goodness. I agree with everything you've been saying about this everything. I'm glad you're opening the streets, the people's eyes up, because I feel really mad and I'm really sad because, I cannot, I don't want to say I cannot live off of my dad's pension, but I just wish I could take for him, because my mom, she takes his money to for her son who almost murdered my dad. And my dad has Alzheimer's, so he can't really defend himself. So, I wish I could take her to court and everything, but I can't. She got too many. She's too powerful as the wife. So
yeah, I mean, the system is going to defend them. This is the problem when you give privilege to folks and say they're exempt from the rules. You're assuming that they're only going to abuse that with the people that you don't like. What happens when they turn around and start abusing it with you? Now you got to sit there with it. So enforcing and constructing systems that work this way, this is the inevitable result. The men have cut off their resources by and large. They're either refusing to make money, or if they do make money, they're going to keep it to themselves. The old timers who were dumb and simpish, the supply of those is running out. And so now you're just left with a bunch of people doing desperate things. I'll let you have the last word.
My mom, she just, she's never worked a day in her life. She's just living off my dad completely. And I'm here struggling as a single mom. It's extremely hard for me. With my dad's pension, I could put up a business. I could even buy another house because I could write on the taxes that I'm his caretaker. Of course, hire someone else to help me with that because I'm also with my kid. And it's just hard. It's really, really hard out here, especially in New York. It's extremely hard. And I'm trying to, do the school thing, but even to study to be a chef, it's not a lot of money. But I'm very depressed because I had a very rotten childhood. My mom told me to kill myself when I was a kid, and she accused me of sleeping with my own dad, just to keep me away from him, so that she saw me as a threat to want to keep my dad's house since I was a kid.
Yeah, we don't talk enough about the mental and emotional issues out there in the female population. Whenever I see one of these stories talking about women get happier, single women are happier when they get older, I'm like, are you kidding me? And Professor Scott Galloway, as much as I respect him economically, when he weighs in this area, I'm like, dude, why are you, with everything else, you would look behind the numbers to say, wait a minute, what does this mean? So this idea that trying to promote this message that women are doing men a favor by marrying men is nonsense. Well, women live longer than men unless they're married. Well, men don't live longer, period. So y'all need to figure out which lie you're going to tell. Is it that men don't live longer overall, or is it that, men live great if they get married and can't name out what that does for you? And then you take a look at the mental and emotional state of women who are single when they get older. None of us can name a female who's in her 60s and single that we would consider to be emotionally or mentally stable. You don't see women when they get in their 60s, if they're not married, they are whacked out of their damn minds. But they'll tell you how great life is. Okay, no wonder you have these quote unquote surveys telling you the older single women say that they're happier. Of course, they're on psychotropic drugs. They're in therapy, never ending. They're on medications. They're on antidepressants. So you're asking the females on antidepressants, are you happy? Of course she's happy. If you were taking the antidepressants as she is, how can you ruin her day? Nobody wants to talk about that because then you have to say how bad the situation really is. And they don't want to do that. Then another thing here, number of years is not the most important thing. Quality of years is the most important thing. So now that I've just proven to you that women are not happier when they're single as they get older, they just we all know that crazy folk live forever. I mean, you name the most evil, crazy people you know, them folk make it to their 80s and their 90s. That is not a reflection of their quality of life. That's not a reflection of that. So with all due respect to Professor Galloway, we really need to do some dissection of these issues. We can't just throw those numbers out there without context, because when you look behind the numbers, you realize, if a female is single, there are some stats that show some of them may live longer, but is that really a quality of life, or has she just gotten old and miserable and that she's on antidepressants and she's whacked out and she's really just hoping for a peaceful death? Because the chick who lives into her 90s with 15 cats and nobody calling her, she might live a long time, but those are not quality years. And Professor Galloway's talked about that too. You don't have a bunch of old women by themselves living quality years. No, you've never gone to go visit one of your old elderly aunts who's living by herself and said, boy, she's doing great. That's never what you say. So these surveys are giving out lies and nobody wants to be honest. And it's only when she ends up squatting in a house or you figure she starts smelling like the cats, then you start realizing, there's a problem. But thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. We appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, the number behind the numbers here, folks, that's the critical thing, is the number behind the numbers. If we don't investigate the numbers behind the numbers, you start getting lies. People like Shadija, this is what happens. And it used to be that there was some clown you could go jump up in your 40s and there was just some dude who was just waiting around on the sidelines. And yeah, there are, but there are way fewer of them than they used to be. Yeah, there are going to be some females. Look, you're always going to have simps. You're always going to have lames. You're always going to have desperate. That goes along with the human condition. The issue is, do you have an adequate enough supply to mate for all the females who train wreck their lives? Now, that's the real question. And the answer to that is no. You don't have enough productive, undemanding simps who don't demand anything other than to have a female next to them. He doesn't care how bad she is, how crazy she is, how difficult she is, how argumentative she is. You don't have enough of those guys around anymore who are willing to finance a female, that type of female, for the rest of her days. That's what's missing. You don't have that. There are not enough of them to float all these bastard baby makers and bipolar bears out here. There's not enough. So, ladies, I'm just letting all the females out there know it's going to be a whole lot of female on female scamming. It's going to be a whole bunch of black women on black women scamming. It's already out the gate. It's already down the home stretch. You're going to see more women scamming on each other than you ever have at any point in history. They will be smiling in each other's faces and sizing you up for how gullible you are, how naive you are. And a lot of women are going to get ruined. A lot of women talking about they strong and independent. You're hard-headed as hell. You don't need to run things by a man. You're going to get out here and try to wing this on your own and navigate this by yourself. And a bunch of you are going to get your futures taken. I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm just saying, hey, this is the math. Let me go ahead and jump over here on Zoom right quick. I think I got Elijah here on Zoom. Brother, are you I thought you were in the house with Shadija for a minute. It was all dark up in there.
Yeah, no, sorry about that, brother. All right, $1 sign to you, big brother. All right. I got a question, because I had this situation twice and everything like that. But a woman I was habitating with, but she got a little fresh mouth, so I told her to get out. But basically the cops sided with her, so I wound up packing my stuff and everything, but I cut off all the rent. I stopped paying the rent and I stopped paying the utilities. And we finally got her out pretty much 6 months after. This was during the pandemic in 2020. The second incident was in January.
And see, you live in New York.
No, this was when I was in California, San Bernardino.
Okay, well, California is no better. So
yeah, no.
The issue here is that I talked about this before. So many fellas underestimate just how many females. The only reason she talking to you is because she needs a place to stay. Right. All this garbage online is just that garbage. The homeless Pookie and Ray Ray is, you can spot them a mile away. Most of these females out here, they got a job, they have a car, and they are getting evicted. And so The only reason they're giving you the time of day is because they couldn't figure out how to swing that rent by themselves. They can't keep any money in their pockets. And they know that these tenant laws, at least maybe she can hustle this for 6 months. And that's why they're really, really big. They want to know, is the apartment or whatever in your name? They want it to be in your name so that she can act a fool or whatever. And okay, well, he's going to have to keep paying for it. Otherwise his credit gets ruined or whatever. So she feel like she got leverage. Fellas, there's a whole bunch of predation going on out here, and you will get taken. There's a bunch of predators out here. They're preying on folk. So fellas, you can't afford to be gullible anymore. You thinking that, okay, well, as long as we got a roof over our head, I got the perfect place to lay up and bounce them butt cheeks all the time. Fellas got to get over that. That is being used against you. The women know that's what you thinking. And she's like, yeah, he gonna be a fool because I'm not really gonna do that. I'm gonna do just enough to get up in here, and all I gotta be is there for 30 days. And then next thing you know, she doesn't want to leave.
Yes, sir. But I have another question. Is my brother lives in DC. Speaking of the devil, this was down the road from him.
I just want to say here right quick, by the way, ladies, this is why y'all are not gonna make it doing manual labor.
Yes, sir.
Ladies, y'all are not gonna make it doing manual labor. You have never been to a construction site with men with glitter boots. So ladies, it's just these are idle threats. When you sit up here and talk about you can work on a construction site, ma'am, no. There's manual labor to be done here, and both the women are wearing their glitter boots. It's looking like something from damn me the Power Rangers. So as I say, fellas, sooner or later she gonna end up depending on you.
Yeah. I got a question because when I saw when you first started the program, and I was thinking about something. Every time this is just me. Every time I keep hearing about these squatter issues, they're always happening in Democrat-run states and Democrat-run cities, as opposed to, and I know the history with Black people, we're heavy in the South. This doesn't happen. You don't hear this happening in a Texas or where you're at in Louisiana or throughout the South. And I asked this question with this whole squatting. What happened to the castle doctrine? Can you invoke that if somebody is on your property?
Okay, well, first of all, you have to understand where this came from.
Right. Okay.
It was a different time when these laws were put into place. Now, squatting is actually a very much older thing in reality. So basically, I don't want to get off into the weeds on that, but
right.
If you'd all like to look into that, you can. But because off the top of my head, let me be honest here. Off the top of my head, the adverse possession, that's the name. It comes from the legal concept of adverse possession, which essentially means use it or lose it. Now, there is no law, technically speaking, that really allows for quote unquote adverse possession. That's more of a judicial thing, not a actual law that says, okay, you can take somebody's property on these circumstances. That's not the way that works. And even to the extent that people do that, it's really because the property doesn't really have a speaker for it or a claimant for it in that regard. So there's ins and outs of it. I don't want to confuse you all too badly, but squatting basically is based on adverse possession.
Yes.
Now, what you're seeing here is bastardizations of it, like in this case right here, where it comes into tenant protections. Back in the 60s and 70s, remember, the laws changed in America about housing, particularly where Black folk are concerned. It always comes back to us.
Yes, sir.
So you had a bunch of white landlords who didn't want to rent to Black folk.
Yes, sir.
Even though the laws had changed and they couldn't discriminate anymore. So what ended up happening, particularly in places like New York, what they would do is the landlords would do all kinds of dirty stuff to try to drive the folk out. One of the things they would do, and you're very familiar with this in New York, they wouldn't fix things.
Of course
so
not.
If they wouldn't fix things, they wouldn't repair things, and then they would blame you for not paying the rent or whatever. So laws started having to be changed because you had so much of that. Back in the 70s, they used to do things like take the doors off the apartment or whatever. So you had a brownstone or whatever, and the landlords would take the doors off of it. Things like that.
Right.
So they started changing the laws to tell them, okay, you can't do that. You can't. If there's an issue, you need to go to court for that. Well, the docket wasn't as full 30, 40 years ago as it is now.
Of course.
So yeah, you had a lot of landlords doing a bunch of cagey, a bunch of really grimy things back then. So there is a reason why these protections were put into place.
Yes, sir.
But those protections are not supposed to cover somebody who's pulling the scam. And it's not hard. It's not hard to figure that out. If you're lying to the locksmith about who owns this house, you're not a tenant. And so that should get taken care of very easily. If you don't have a rental agreement, a written one that is very easily provable, you're not a tenant. Now, we have no problem protecting tenants. It's scammers who shouldn't be protected. If somebody is paying their rent, and if they're not paying it, I guess it depends. If you have a slumlord in New York, famous for slumlords, the rental protections and tenant protections were to protect against slumlords. It was meant to protect against them. And that there is a legitimate argument for that. But that's not what you see here.
Yes, sir.
So you got a chick who just, her life is all messed up and she's looking for other people to subsidize it so that she can continue being a bum and going to social media pretending that she has her life together. So that was the explanation of there are actually legitimate reasons why these things came into existence. They didn't come from nowhere. And there are actually legitimate rationales.
Yes,
this isn't one of them.
No, of course not. Of course not. No, it's just this stuff is always happening in these Democratic areas because even when I had a second squatter issue and they cleaned my apartment clean when I was living in Las Vegas.
Okay, I need some of you folks to unplug from Fox News. This is not just a Democrat issue, sir. This happens in Florida. Now, they have changed laws in Florida, but Florida and Georgia, they have changed the laws there. But even still, the laws are not draconian. It does criminalize certain things, which is a big step. If you're a squatter, it's a criminal offense. Okay. But it's really about, folks who are falsely claiming to be tenants. So
yes, sir.
The people going around, somebody's got an investment property. They haven't had somebody rent it for a couple of months, and then you move in and talk about adverse possession. You're not a renter. You haven't met the landlord. You just broke into his house and talking about you live there and, we have a rental agreement. So Georgia, Florida, Louisiana, they've actually made new laws to kind of tighten that up to criminalize that kind of thing. Claiming that you have a lease or an agreement when you don't have one, that is trespassing.
Of course.
So those kind of things matter, but no, I mean, adverse possession is an old English thing. So I need y'all to unplug from Fox News and thing. That's not really a Democrat Republican thing there. That's really, really not.
I apologize, big brother. Please excuse me. No, it's just because every time I lived in these funny style areas, they always had these weak laws. But you said something that was real deep that, and I'm glad you gave me an explanation.
Okay, you go try to set up shop in one of Nancy Pelosi's rental houses and see how long you stay there. If you really believe that that's a Democrat Republican issue or these are just the wacky blue states, you go try to hold up in Nancy Pelosi's rental house and see how long you stay there.
You won't last them.
See how long you there. You go bust up into one of Mayor de Blasio's places or something like that. See how long you can stick around.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
The former governor of New York, Elliot Spitzer, he just wound up evicting the chicks. So it only took him a couple of months. So you try it with them in one of their places and see how long they let you stick around.
Yes. Yeah. But you won't last 5 minutes. But there was another part though that you said, and if you can expand on this, and I'm gonna land my plane. You did say something about the these women are not being able to rely on these simps anymore to for them to get over and everything. So they're taking advantage of other women and everything like that. But you said something to the effect that this is something that a lot of men have to deal with, and these laws were really to really to prevent from the men from putting out the women. You said that. Can you expand on something? Can you expand on that, big brother?
Yeah, I mean, as part of what society started doing there has been a 4-decade-long campaign to target men,
right?
Specifically black men, but like all these things, government wants more power, and white society is where the real money is. So you make these laws under the idea that you're going to target black men and do it to the niggers. And then next thing you know, now the government sinks its teeth into you a decade or two later, and now you're stuck.
Mm-hmm.
The child support laws, I watched them throughout the 80s and the 90s as they turned the child support laws basically into draconian drug kingpin laws. Right. Specifically because they thought they were targeting black men. Now you see a bunch of white men complaining. Yeah, but you were the ones who cheered them on when you thought they were going to use them just to target us. Because your understanding with the government then was that, oh, don't worry, wink, wink, we're just going to go after the right people, which is the black folk. And then it backfired. But you watched a bunch of other things put into place for that as well. Please understand that society rigs these laws for the purposes of clearing the men out, for the purposes of dominating the men, for the purposes of exploiting and subjugating the men, because that's where the resources are. The woman's not paying for the apartment, and she's not paying for the house. Remember, the federal government has a scam running with child support. So for those of you who didn't know, the government is a scam, a reimbursement scam on child support. They pay part of it with the state. You can go look it up for yourselves. Some jackasses tried to argue Google is your friend, but literacy is your enemy. But there's for that, but there's also for alimony. Remember, the court system is a moneymaker. The court system is a revenue maker. They charge for everything. So when you have a divorce, everybody gets paid. The attorneys, the judge, the court, the government, everybody gets paid. Also, because they know the stats. Statistically speaking, if 50% of your marriages end in divorce, that's practically a guarantee that the house you've bought is going to get turned over. You're not going to keep it. It's not going to be that one of you is going to leave. Both of you will be leaving. Right. Now, not in every case, but if once one man and woman get divorced, it's inevitable that house is, neither one of them is going to have the house before it's over.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's what government wants. That's what government wants. They want to turn over the property. They want to turn over the houses. This, believe it or not, it stimulates economic development. The men are in a bad position, so now they got to work harder. If the police show up, we're going to arrest you. Okay, now you're in the system. Remember, they don't give a damn how they get you in the system, just that they get you in.
Right.
So they don't care if it's your girlfriend who does it, your wife who does it, just so long as we get you in. And we want the men, not the women, because the men are going to have more work. The men are going to be more productive. So we get them on paper. Now they're struggling. Oh, the women walk into court and out of court. The men get 5 years probation. So those kind of things, that's not accidental. These are specifically engineered laws and statutes that specifically target men. And I need you all to understand something. The law calculates the probability of crimes or offenses. They don't make laws against crimes or offenses because they don't know the numbers. They steadily research these things first to see just how much economy is going to generate, and then they make the law. Then they make the offense. So it's no wonder that your girlfriend has moved in with you, and then next thing you know, they want to make sure that she can stay. And what they're going to say is that if she alleges that you did something or that you could do something, all of a sudden the police are telling you that you can't go back to your own house.
Right.
Okay, but remember, you can't have that kind of uniformity if it's not conscious. If you see the exact same thing play out the exact same way everywhere you go, that's not accidental. That's policy. Remember, the best laws are the ones that can target you without saying that you're the target. They don't have, as long as they don't say you're the target. Yeah, but when they execute it, they're only executing it on one of you.
Of course.
So your female can sit there and literally be fighting with the police, and they'll just tell her, calm down. She can just accuse you of something. They can say, okay, well, for the safety of all involved, sir, we think it's best if you don't go back there. Now, the problem is now you're arguing with the police in the streets because there's no judge there to adjudicate this. So
Yes.
since in the absence of a judge, now you wind up having to just do what the police say, because they're like, okay, well, there's no judge here, but if you try to go back in there, we're going to arrest you. Wait a minute, but I'm the one paying for it. My name's on the lease. Well, she's a resident. Now, the last part to answer your question, brother, is please understand, I've told you all this for decades, but I will reiterate it again tonight. The police are not filled with alpha males. The police are filled with simps.
What? Yes, sir.
The police, police departments, lawyers, politicians, judges, these are not alphas and producers. That's where simps go.
Mm-hmm.
When you take a look at folks like Stephen Miller with Donald Trump, a little whiny, little nasally, little weasel. Mm-hmm. The simps are little weak bastards who they look for positions of power in society. They go for professions where they can find, they have a very short runway of gaining authority over other people. And when you go take a look back over their lives, you can see they were that way in middle school. They were that way in high school. They were awkward. They were oddballs. They were outcasts. They're resentful. Now you've given them a job where they now have, quote, authority. And a certain type of individual gravitates to that. What do you hear from most of your business people about when you tell them, hey, you should go into politics? What does he tell you? I can't do that. I'd have to take too much of a pay hit. I couldn't take the pay cut. Okay, so our best and brightest don't want to go into politics because they found something way better than what, by definition, what does that tell you? Oh, you're not getting your best and brightest. You're getting somebody who's there for another reason. So you end up with Nancy Mace, who literally made a law against her ex-boyfriend. You end up with Donald Trump, who's literally making laws against his enemies. You end up with Barack Obama, literally making laws against black folk. Right. So, and you end up with the Stephen Millers and things. So when police show up, that's not a kindred soul. Right. The numbers are overwhelmingly likely that he's just a whipped beta. He doesn't like the fact that you have a girlfriend, period. Mm-hmm. He's never been accepted by other men on masculine terms. So he really doesn't like men.
Right, of
and
course.
So anytime he has a chance to punish other men, when he sees men, all he sees is the guys in high school who made fun of him. So you're here, so now he's going to punish you in lieu of that because he hates men as much as the women do. And it sounds like it's contradictory, but it's really not. And when you go to court, it's the same thing. You know, these guys didn't go to law school because they were alphas. They were the bookworms. And when they see you, they're like, great, time for some get back. And that's what they went into that profession for.
Right.
So if I just gave you the legal, the extra legal, and the totally illegal explanations for why that is, that if you're in that situation with a female, it turns out that way. Right, so there's direct government involvement, and then there's indirect. And this has been going on now for decades. It didn't used to be such a huge problem. When it first started, it was rather focused and directed. Now that it's grown, it's become this monster and it's around everywhere. And yeah, now you're going to have to do a ton of cure. You don't have an ounce of prevention anymore. Now you got to do a ton of cure. And we're at the cure stage now because it's completely out of control to the point that now people usually don't push back against laws until they become totally intrusive. Once they start becoming so intrusive that they start becoming disruptive to your daily life, that's when people start pushing back the other way.
Right.
But you didn't get into this overnight and you won't be able to reverse it overnight either. But yes, the state has a very vested interest in this, gynocentric state that targets men. Targeting men is a big moneymaker. It's a huge moneymaker.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Brother, thank you so much for tonight's broadcast. This is because when you did this really hit close to home. Not once for me, but twice. And
well, look, it's the 21st century in 2025, fellas. You can't move no chick in with you. Fellas, she need to be strong and independent. She needs to have her own place. You can't move a chick in with you. You think you're moving her in so that you have proximity to sexual access.
Right.
And what I'm telling you is that, yes, you do have proximity, but you are also exponentially increasing your risks because you're assuming that she's going to mind her manners living with you the way she did when she wasn't. And the bottom line is all you've really done is increase your risks. Also, one more thing, and yes, I'm going to say this. That's all the more reason for a man to have more than one female.
And deal with it, nigga.
Fellas, if you got 2 or 3 females, you don't want no chick living with you. If you got 3 or 4 females, you're not really desperate to have one living with you. You need her to go ahead and bounce on up out of here for a bit. So one more thing, fellas. Yeah, if you're isolated and your options are confined to one female, hell yeah, you're starting to sink into a semi-married mindset because you've committed to just one. You've made her your only option. Since she's your only option, if she tells you no sex tonight, there will be no sex tonight. That's the problem that you have. If you got more than one option, you're not going to be having that one female laying up with you all the time and let's move her in so I got proximity because she's my only option issue either. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let's see if we can get Kyle up here on Zoom for us right quick. Yes, fellas, those days are done. You can't do that anymore. All right, we got Kyle up here on Zoom. What's on your mind, Kyle?
How you doing, Jason? Can you hear me?
Yes, brother, you're on. What's on your mind?
So speaking of the black women using black women, so right now I'm a PLC technician, but before I became this, I used to be over maintenance in 5 complexes in Atlanta on the south side, and I get all these eviction letters mainly from the black women's units with $80,000, $60,000 in debt, $25,000. And I'd be flabbergasted at.
Dude, did you say 80,000?
Jason, when I say, bro, I had one unit. This lady ran over a black man, killed him. And so she was locked up for vehicular manslaughter. And so we couldn't kick her out because we couldn't serve her. So when we finally found out she was out, the debt letter was $80,000. I got sent by a temp agency when I got into the business of maintenance, and then I became a head supervisor. So I was over 5 complexes. I was in College Park, East Point. You know what I'm saying? So
you're talking about Atlanta.
So yes.
Okay,
yes,
so
Atlanta.
Brother Elijah, pay attention, Elijah. That's where it goes. Go ahead.
So like, when I started out, I had to come. So maintenance men would quit all the time. So believe it or not, maintenance men really quit. So what I had to do is come and assess apartments, get them prepared for somebody to move in. So I had to get the women evicted mainly because that's what we had. We had Section 8. Section 8 was horrible, man. Most Section 8 units brought pests, roaches, and people don't understand. Like, I'll be in a unit that's super clean, but if somebody next to your unit is nasty, the walls are hollow, so roaches can travel through the walls, to somebody who is super clean, but they got to suffer because there's a nasty person who's infestated the units and they're just messing up for everybody else. But you'd be surprised how big it is. So another thing we do is we go by, let's say a property has 237 units, right? So if it's sitting on the market and it has to be sold, it'll have days counted. But we also have a thing called occupancy rate. So what happens is they look at the occupancy rate, they look at how much money was spent. So does the money, how many people being there, does it match up to the money being paid for the units? If not, then they have to go. We'll have more people occupying the units, but less money. So we might have a 90% occupancy rate, but only 10% of them are paying, or 20% of them are paying. It'll be a lot of people behind on their payments. And the court process here is so long. So getting the people evicted out took forever. I would call DCF on some units. I had one where the girl had a newborn baby, but they wouldn't call me to come fix stuff. So when they finally called me, they had a flood, but they got spider webs in the corner. I can see roach poo on the walls and on the ceiling. The carpet is just pure black. It usually is beige, like majority of units. We use like the typical beige carpet. It's pure black stains.
And
everywhere.
let me go ahead and weigh in on that right there, because
ahead,
just
brother.
like this case in DC, what did you have? You had a black female, and you want to talk about the sisterhood. Part of that sisterhood is that the social workers tend to be majority black females in these areas. They see these hoes, and I did say hoes.
Deal with it, nigga.
But they are.
They see these hoes, and they don't do anything. So they make it their job to make sure she can keep custody of her children, even when it is obviously under hazardous circumstances. Everywhere you go, they are committed to protecting this sick code of conduct and behavior. Now,
for sure,
you and me can see what the damn issue is there very, very quickly. If you're a social worker, you're supposed to be going to jail. If something like that happens and you are not doing your job, you are endangering the child, and you're supposed to have criminal charges against you. And yet everywhere you go, no one's made that the law yet. Now, isn't that very interesting? Now, they've criminalized everything a black male could possibly do, from the way you dress to the way you walk to where you're standing, stop and frisk. So you're criminalized across the board, and yet all these children getting hurt and dying. We get horror stories every damn week, and yet no one's doing anything about the women who are endangering the children or the social workers either. It's the same everywhere. Now, is that just one big giant coincidence, or is this somebody's plan? But go ahead,
it's definitely
brother.
self-sabotage. It's definitely self-sabotaging. And I really thought Atlanta was a black mecca. I really did think that. But most of these complexes are owned by foreigners, and so even me being in this industry, I have this job, you know what I'm saying? But outside of here, I'm an electrician and I work on people units. So I just had to break away from seeing that, man, because it was just destroying my mind. I had to go residential and actually deal with black people who pay for their house to be fixed and want to see it done. Because just seeing that dysfunction really was changing my mind. And I don't understand the level of even that squatter. I'm like, how can you go squat and be nasty? That makes no sense to me. At least like, be redeemable out of it somehow, but that's impossible to think growth is going to happen out of somebody who's in a late 30s,
what they're showing you is how they ended up in the situation that they're in. They didn't end up there, but for no reason. They're showing you how they ended up like that. Once you spend a little time, how the hell did you end up just down and out and living under a bridge? You spend a day with them. Oh, that's why you are. So when they talk to you, they might sound like, well, you sound rather articulate. You don't sound too bad. Why is it they can't handle this? And spend a little time with them, you'll see what it is. Now, let me address something else you just said. You said about a lot of these are owned by foreigners. I need folks to understand that the United States government, our tax dollars have become one giant grift. They become one giant scam. The reason why the government is as huge and this bureaucratic mess as it is not accidental. That's so you can hide all the grift. I mean, it's such a huge labyrinth because you need to hide all the fraud and the corruption. You take a look at the military. We have known about the fraud in the military now literally since Eisenhower. We've known about it now for 70, 80 years. $150 hammer. Ronald Reagan talked about that, and your hammer still costs $150 in some places. Lockheed Martin and Boeing and them, they get to make contracts with the government, and then when they don't deliver on it, they get to apply for an extension of it. So it doesn't matter what bid they put in, they never have to stick to their bid. They give them a number, and then as soon as they get started on it, okay, well, the number's gone up. This is the way that goes. Okay, Section 8 is the same way. Most of these landlords are not black. They're not black. A lot of Asian, a lot of Jewish, a lot of white, a lot of Middle Eastern.
Turkish.
They very much Armenian. They very much want to keep this system going. And the United States government allows that. So just like these phony defense contracts, by the way, there's a bunch of young white boys out there making money at that now, selling bullets, selling drones, selling night vision scopes. So there's a bunch of young white kids. Y'all can look it up. It's far past that Jonah Hill movie. It still goes on to this day on this exponential. Look it up on YouTube. You can find for yourselves. And so Section 8 is just another extension of that. It's a way for them to, I've already talked about EB5 in one of my documentary films. And so you'll have some Asians come over or whatever. Israelis come over here. They got dual citizenship. And they can build an apartment complex, set it up for Section 8, and that's it. They're gone. EB5 doesn't require you to be a U.S. resident. I mean, well, it requires you to be a U.S. resident, but it doesn't require you to stay here. So what you're talking about, they can bring their money over here, invest in that. They make the money off of that, and they don't give a damn what happens to the apartment complex. They're going to build it on the cheap. It's not like they're doing expensive construction. So they build these structures on the cheap, and they're only they're just going to let it roll until it dies. That's the whole. They're not building a Rolls Royce. They're building a Chevy Cavalier.
Yes. The same way you see like in an apartment complex, and I can always tell if it's a crappy one. If you see white appliances in an apartment complex, it's a terrible apartment. And
brother, you can tell from the outside. You can tell it from the outside.
For sure.
If you got that, if you have siding on it, here we go.
For sure.
If you have siding, if you got the standard, 4-foot windows, here we go.
But it's the norm. And then a lot of like, even on the Alpharetta side, because I worked on the Alpharetta side, a lot of Indians on that side now moving in. And the apartments reek too. They nasty. They in a good area, but they make the apartments think they be in there deep. They come deep. The Hispanics are taking over in the apartment. When Hispanics put up partition wall, I done knocked down so many partition walls from Hispanics putting them up, moving deep, making extra rooms within a 1-bedroom unit or a 2-bedroom unit, and they deep in it. The takeover is real. We have a lot of insurgents in America. I think Black Americans really need to get focused on like building with each other. Like that's why I became an electrician, because of you. You're the reason why I'm so far. Now I'm dealing with robots. I'm
glad to see things work. I'm glad to see things worked out,
it's worked out great, Jason. I promise you, every time, man, I call you and tell you, I'm so successful because of you, brother. I can't praise you more enough. Every time I call, I gotta praise you. So I've gotten to the automation and learning robots. The electricity has taken me there. I get hit up by countless companies because people who went and got a bunch of degrees in IT and stuff like that, which is great. But I get hit up by these companies because they land them off putting in AI, but they need an electrician to run the PLC systems, the automation, because it's breakers and wires and stuff like that. So I still have to learn what they know. I always have to progress within my knowledge and within my education of the field. But you talked about this years ago when I was 22, and that you wanted Black men to get in the trades, but you had the truck drivers on at the time, and that's how you boosted me. I was working at FedEx at the time, and I was a single mom kid. I had a rowdy heart. You know what I'm saying? You was going hard on single raised mom kids. I tell you all the time, especially the dudes. You was going hard on the dudes, and I was sitting there and I was about to get in my feelings, but I'm like, a real man sit there and listen to what a man got to say all the way through, even if he don't like his opinion. You know what I'm saying? So once I listen to you, I'm like, I don't have nothing I dislike about your opinion. You top notch. You know what I'm saying? So I've always followed your steps. I'll be so busy now. I always got to go back and retrack all your Oh, you're not your podcast, but when you got your YouTube joints up, so I can go and get back educated and back smart and become a more smarter black man for this internal war that we're against. But it's a lot, man, Jason, bro.
I mean, well, look, you're
trying.
absolutely right because, I mean, for a lot of us, even for me, this got kicked off before I was born. You know, I mean, this got kicked off even before I was born. This has been part of a government policy. You only have a limited amount of real estate anywhere you are. So your city is not infinite. Why do I bring that up? Because when you flood the zone with people and investment, what you're doing, everybody can't invest in the same place. Markets get saturated. Areas get saturated. You have too much. Now folk got to move out. You have to move to places where it's not as saturated, okay, but you also can't make as much money. So you had all these black neighborhoods and whatnot, and then the government changed. The government made it their goal to bring in as many illegals, as many immigrants, as many non-black folk, and they dropped them off specifically in black neighborhoods. We can go down the damn list from New York. Here come the Dominicans. Here come the everybody else there. Look at Queens.
Yeah.
Down in the deep south in New Orleans. I already explained to you all that was one of the major places in New Orleans. You got an Asian population there today because after the Vietnam War, the United States government started grabbing Vietnamese refugees. Yeah, y'all made the damn war. Okay, but then they dropped them off in black neighborhoods in New Orleans. So that's why you have a Asian presence in New Orleans today, because after the Vietnam War, they started dropping them off in droves, but they didn't do it on the white folks side of town. They put them on our side of town. Same thing in California. You can go down from San Mateo. We can go down the list, the Palisades. We can go down the list. All these places that used to be black neighborhoods, used to have black presences. San Francisco, Oakland, and they dropped off as many of these other folk here as they possibly could. We get to the 80s, here comes the influx of the Indians, same thing. Late 80s, here come the Middle Easterners, same thing. You and me would get arrested with a beer, but they were giving the Middle Easterners liquor licenses, which was always very interesting because I knew quite a few Middle Easterners. And I was just like, by the way, aren't y'all Muslims? Oh, yes, absolutely. Devout Muslims. I couldn't help but notice you're selling beer and cigarettes. Yeah, they all said the same thing, brother. Well, I know we're not supposed to do that. And I'm like, yeah, because you would never do this back in Saudi Arabia and Yemen, where you're from. You would never do that. And yet they came over here doing it. Come on, man. They were brought here and it was explained to them what they came for. You talk about the Mexicans. Once again, everybody talks about the drugs. The illegal aliens are a part of that too. You need coyotes to bring the drugs. Well, guess what? The coyotes also bring the illegal people. They bring the illegal drugs and they bring the illegal people. And if it is a farmer, if it is a hotel operator, oh hell, there goes that synergy there. They got the direct plug to the coyotes. I'm not telling you what I heard from somebody else. I told y'all there's a white woman. I want to say she's in the Carolinas, and she got a YouTube video talking about that. You can go look it up for yourselves about why it is why they can't stop the illegals in farming. And she was explaining to the white men who own the farms. They'll tell the illegals, hey, y'all better be quiet about what we doing, including sleeping with Manuel, because we know people back where you're from. In Tijuana, I can make a phone call, and the dude who brought you up here, he can touch your people back where you from. I'm talking about farmers, people. These ain't drug dealers. The farmers, the agriculture people, the hotel people. That's the kind of gangsterism that they're sitting up here telling these folk when they bring them up here. So I'm telling y'all, while they've been putting the spotlight on black folk and drug trafficking, human trafficking, they charge you with human trafficking for every damn thing except bringing illegals up here. Now, if you were running whores and you have an agreement with this chick for her to sell them draws, you're not just pimping, you human trafficking. Okay, but Governor Pritzker and the Hyatt family, that's not human trafficking for the housekeepers. So it's human trafficking if you running prostitutes, but it's not human trafficking when they grabbing housekeepers. Come on, man. Welcome to a system of white supremacy. I'll let you have the last word.
Jason, I appreciate the talk, man. Black people, man, especially black men, brothers, we just got to get more developed. We are, as Black American men, we are very advanced, bro. Super. It's our natural born gift. So I just want us to lock in and be prepared, bro, because if we don't see, everybody is fighting, from the Somalians, the Mexicans, whoever. I'm just glad. I'm happy Trump got everybody fighting for their lives. You feel me? Black people, we've been doing this, so it's nothing to us. But watching everybody be in turmoil, I smile at that. Unfortunately, you feel me? I'm ready for the weak sheep to die by the wolves, and that's all I gotta say, Jason.
Thank you for giving us a call tonight, brother. We appreciate that. Yeah, folks. I mean, that's government policy, man. That's not accidental. That is not accidental. That didn't just happen out of nowhere. This is a government policy. The way that the court system runs, how negligent it is, it's a government policy. And I'm just being deadly serious with the females right now. Ladies, I have to be brutally honest and brutally candid. Y'all been eating good for a while, taking advantage of it. Let's just say it like it is. Ladies, you were taking advantage. You knew you were. Women been taking advantage of it, and they've been smiling. It's like, yeah, we getting over that. Come on, you've been taking advantage of it. You saw it happening, and you were just like, well, if they're going to give it to me, I'm going to take it. All right, I'm just letting you know, going forward, it's too thin out here. It's too hard to eat out here right now. So a lot of you ladies told yourselves that you strong and independent and you can do like the men. No, you can't. That's why you're trying to make investments so that you can get away from your job. Okay, but now you see that the investments are hella risky. And you've got other women who are deliberately targeting you to make you lose your investment. That's what you worked, and you had to get out the workforce because you couldn't take the heat. It's too hard out here. It's too stressful. You're putting on weight. You're getting arthritis, high blood pressure. Okay, then you figure, well, let me just work long enough. I can save some money. I might take it out of my 401k. Let me get an investment here, something that'll make me some passive income. And the folk you bringing in for passive income, they doing way worse than you. They're doing way worse than you. And they got just enough scam money to make the down payment. And then after that, they're like, okay, yeah, you think you balling? You going to be hurting for real. And now, ladies, you have entered a new generation where, just like you all were celebrating getting over on the men, you have run out of men to get over on, and now the women are targeting to get over on each other. This is where we are now. Generation scammer. Now they're just going to see if they can take what you got. But remember, you built this monster. We need to take it easy on the women. Okay, they're in court taking it easy. You can take them to court. All you can do is get them out. That does not change that now you have to pay the mortgage company $10,000. You went from paying $4,000, now you got to pay $10,000 because they've tacked on penalties and fees and every damn thing else. Now you just got, okay. I mean, the lesson to be learned here is that you thought that it was going to be all cute and you were going to feed the men to the system and you were going to be safe on the outside, kind of like the white supremacists did. And now you're like, I'll be damned. Now they're chewing you up. Yeah, you won't get that investment. There's a bunch of y'all who need that. You're not going to get that investment. You need to work together with other people. Okay, most women today are not married. Okay, then you're going to be happily struggling. They happy while they're single. Okay, well, get ready to smile and struggle. Get ready to smile and struggle. You don't have a man to carry this with you. You don't have a fellow who's all the way down with you. Okay, you're going to have to depend on other women. Let me tell y'all something. Women don't believe in other women taking care of them. Women do not believe in other women carrying their weight. But you got a bunch of females out here now looking for a chick to carry her weight. Now they're treating you the way y'all been treating the men. Okay. She expects alimony and child support out of you. She expects to live rent free on your dime. You had no problem with the men doing it. And I'm just going to say this like it is. I couldn't help but notice, ladies, everybody hefty built. If you think it's not taking a toll on you, I couldn't help but notice everybody's hefty built.
Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order?
It's weighing on y'all, pardon the pun. It's weighing on you. Let me go ahead and see if we can take one more phone call here. Okay, Timmy, why are you awake?
I don't know. How are you?
Okay, don't small talk me. What you want?
No, I'm just saying hi, and this is interesting because I believe we spoke about this a while ago, and I kind of predicted something like this to happen. However, I thought it was going to be more of like the lesbian relationship that we're going to see more cases of. But this is
you will. You're already seeing an uptick of that. There are so many societal reasons for it. Yeah, the media is conditioning people. It's not a bunch of genuinely lesbian women. It's a bunch of women who can't get a man to put her in her feminine place because he's not going to carry the water for you because you're too disagreeable and too much of a problem. So you have a bunch of women out here having to wing it on their own with everybody telling them, yeah, this is great and wonderful. They have no concern about what it does for your psyche because it feeds the economy. And as long as you're not in open revolt, they're going to be like, oh, well, go over there and happily suffer. And so the women pretend like they love it until eventually they psychologically break. So what they end up doing is if they can't get a man, they look for the system to take care of them because that's always the substitute husband. And if that's not available, they look for another chick to take care of them. And so you're seeing a bunch of women out here turning gay for play when in reality, she just got bills to pay. And if a woman gets desperate enough, she'll tell herself anything.
Right. And I was talking to someone, and I feel sorry for genuinely lesbian. I'm not agreeable with that lifestyle. However, I really feel bad for people who actually are like that way, because I spoke to someone about this. I said that you got to have a lot of these hoes, like you said, these tricks. They are going to take advantage of y'all, and y'all, and you see like
they're going to take advantage of whom?
Huh?
They're going to take advantage of whom?
The studs, like the people who actually.
Oh, please. Lesbian chicks are the most ruthless, gangster, get over on your chicks in the world. Where you been at?
You mean like the ones that's actually born like that? Like the ones who are studs?
If a chick tell you she lesbian, she treacherous. I don't know who told you otherwise. Either you're in denial of something. There's no such thing as a non-treacherous lesbian. There's just no such thing. So there's no such thing as a naive lesbian. You, as a female, you don't find your face buried between another woman's thighs and you're naive. That's not the way that goes. So no, that's not the way that works, ma'am. You have never seen a lesbian who wasn't about that life and wasn't looking to get over and skeptical and savvy. You ain't seen it. So I don't know who you think you're protecting, but there are no wallflower lesbians. Oh, the poor, delicate, naive female. We must watch out for her. Where the hell are you talking about? No, that's not the way that works.
It'll be the other reverse. So one of these idiots is going to try to get one of these studs and probably get their head knocked in trying to pull some shit on them.
They're going to be pulling it, man. You ain't never met a lesbian who wasn't on the take. If she's a lesbian, she's trying to get over. So that's how they ended up there. They would be birds of a feather. And a lesbian does not care. Their whole thing is about turning you. So she does not care if you are, quote unquote, genuinely gay, just so long as you are genuinely behaving like it.
I see. All right.
You've been in the military long enough for that. I don't know why you're trying to fake on the fake on the future like that. I don't know why you're trying to do it. I don't know where that fronting's coming from.
What do you mean? No, I didn't know that. I really didn't.
All right. Put your bonnet back on, go sleep.
Okay.
Timmy called me half asleep, half drunk. One more thing over here. Oh, where my yak? Hey, Jason. And really, we got to watch out for the lesbians, Jason. Jason, we got to watch out for the lesbians. All right. Jason, save the lesbians, Jason. You can't just leave them out here by themselves, Jason. You're not looking out for them. I'm like, okay. I got women in here. Oh, I'm going to do this right quick. Yeah, they ain't going to like it, but I'm going to go ahead and do this right quick. Just so we can go ahead and get this out the way. Folks, if you have dated a lesbian, whether you are male or female, give me the padlock emoji in the chat room. We just gonna do this just one time. Come on now, put it on the bricks. If you dated a lesbian, you knew she was not Jason. I found out later. No. Not that you dated a lesbian and she was a practicing lesbian at that time. Give me the padlock emoji in the chat room. Come on now, ain't no reason to fake on it now. You ain't got to fake the funk no more. Just say it one time. Get it out there one time. I'm looking at the fellas. There's some females okay, we got one. Okay, there you go. All right. We got one honest chick up in here so far. So the rest of them are still trying to pretend that didn't happen. Rest of them are trying to pretend that ain't occurred. So the females in here, there's more females trying to act like they didn't really. Well, they're trying to rewrite their history in their brains right quick. Well, it wasn't really hit. Just because she liked girls and was sleeping with them. So there's a bunch of them right now trying to rationalize this themselves. All right. Okay, hey, all of y'all who dated a lesbian, was she naive? Oh, Alana talking about, does horseplay count? All right, Alonda. One of these days, we're going to have you call up and tell that story. Hey, y'all, one day she going to have to call up and give us the details. Can you feel me? I can't do it tonight, Alonda. I'm getting ready to wrap things up, baby. But yeah, now that you said, Alonda been through some stuff, y'all. She got some tales to tell. So at some point, she going to have to call us up. See, y'all see how females start splitting hairs. Okay, think about this for a few moments. She said horse playing. Let me tell you something. If two men were naked in a room, quote unquote, horse playing, could he convince you that he's not gay? Okay, if two men were in a room in they damn Fruit of the Loom briefs, quote unquote, horse playing, could they convince you that they not gay? But two women will be in they damn panties and bras talking about horse playing, but we ain't gay. Okay. See, this is female logic here. It's like, is there a loophole? Can I redefine that? Let two men do that. So, yeah, fellas, just understand females do all kind of stuff when around. They're trying to rationalize their college days. But one more thing here. Y'all notice that the men aren't walking around with cell phones. The men are walking around with garbage bags working. The females got on glitter boots and on their damn pink cell phones. The men showed up to work. So this is the way it's always going to be, ladies. This is the way it's always going to be. The men are always going to be doing the work. Y'all going to be pretending and lying to yourself. But no, it'll be just us. The real work, if we don't show up, the real work will never get done. It just won't, because you ain't going to do it. First time you cut your damn knuckles, you out. She said, I didn't kiss him. I'm like, okay, baby, girl, Alanda, just stop. The more details you give, the worse this gets. The more details you go into, the worse this gets. Trust me, it's not really going to be a lot of talking your way out of this. We get the point. We know what was happening. And you know me, I'm going to ask all the right questions. So you're not really going to be able to obfuscate this that well. It's not going to work out. So you've told us enough. We get it. We get it. So you're just asking, was I really gay when I did that? It's looking that way. It's looking that way. If you willingly walked in that room, all right. If you willingly walked in that room, we get it. We get it. Ladies, it's going to be rough out there. It's going to be rough. And now you don't have the men to depend on like you used to. So now you got to depend on other women. Unfortunately, you have entered the era where women target other women to pay their bills and to pay their way and to take care of them now. The women are targeting other women. So it's going to be rough. This is what a world where you don't have men to support you and men to take care of you because you cheated them too many times. And the men say, you know what? We're just going to take care of ourselves. Well, this is what happens. You thought you were going to have some female Amazon lesbian enclave where the women look out for each other, and nope. And you knew that was going to be the case. Women are not going to look out for other women. It ain't going to happen. You all will look out for each other as long as it's something inconsequential. As long as it's something minor and inconsequential, you will look out for each other. Women will not lose their lives for another woman. Women will not work 40 hours a week for another woman. Women will not stack up $100,000 to pay for another woman's life, to make another woman's life easier than hers is. A man will spend $100,000 to make a woman's life easier than his. A woman is not going to work 80 hours a week and make $100,000 and $200,000 to make another woman's life easier than hers is. And so going forward, if you got $100,000 that another chick don't have, if you don't give it up, she gonna see if she can find a way to make you give it up. And this is where we are today. Can you imagine what it'll be like in 5 years? Oh man. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. We're going to go ahead and do that. If you are new here to the business, welcome to the program that all your favorite YouTubers love to hate watch. The 720 degrees of analysis you'll receive absolutely nowhere else. Click that red subscribe button if we have earned your subscription. Click that red subscribe button. And if we haven't, well, come back next week. We'll go ahead and give another shot there. By the way, I'd like to send a shout out to Oprah. We've been working on getting that video restored. I have a feeling that'll be happening here within the next week. And when it does, I'm going to have a special program addressing her and it. So hang tight, folks. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program. I want to thank everyone who has tuned in live or recorded. Thank you to everyone for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of The Business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, handle your business or your business will squat on you.